Go to the vigil. Why would Trump go to the vigil? Trump's got his safety to think about, and also golf. Why would Trump go to Charlie Kirk's vigil? Do you know what I mean? I don't think that's particularly a good idea. It's a bad idea. Not a good idea at all. Good evening, Susie. Thanks for coming back in. Jump up onto the panel if you want to jump up onto the panel, because I have restricted this live to 18s and overs, and I think that's the. There's not many people coming up or coming into the room. Trump will be Trump, 100%. He will be. You know what you're getting with him, don't you? Yeah, you know exactly what you're getting with Trump. You know exactly what you're getting with Trump. There's let me just turn this down. Jesus, was it so loud? Yeah, you guys surprised? Don't be surprised, man. Don't be surprised that Trump's gone to. Trump's going to do Trump in it, like someone just said. He's just going to do Trump. You know. Trump will be Trump. Do I need to restart this live because there's not many people coming in? It's quite surprising. I think it's because I've done the 18 and over. You're my favorite. You're welcome. You're welcome, Susie. I hope you're not baiting me into something, Susie. Joking. So where's everyone tonight? Everyone's sick of talking about Charlie Kirk now. Come on, guys. Let's get this. Let's get it popping. Let's let's get this party started. This is what we need to be doing. If you're in the room already, this is what we need to be doing. Let's get the room going before we start. Let's get people up onto the panel. Yeah? Is that fair? No problem at all. I might have to restart this live because I think because I've set it for 18 and overs, not many people, it's not been pushed out to many people. But, the subject today is Charlie Kirk, whatever we want to talk about. You supporting Charlie? You're not supporting Charlie? What's the deal? Come up, let's talk. Let's get this party started right. Who's that? Someone requested, but now they've gone. So what's the deal, guys? What are we talking about tonight? Obviously, we're talking about this chap here, who's no longer with us. However you want to start start it. If you think he was a bigot, if you think he was a racist, if you think he was a good Christian man, if you think he was this, he was a good family man. If you think the opposites, let's discuss it tonight. Yeah, let's get it started. So I don't agree at all with the way he was taken out. I feel as though, if you want to know about someone, you make them available so you can actually who's that coming up? So we need to keep the room clean, guys. If you're coming up into the panel, we need to keep the room clean, yeah? I appreciate you. Turn your mic off when you're not speaking. Wait your turn, blah, blah, blah. Who's that? Yeah. What say you? All right. If you don't speak, you're gonna get dropped. As simple as that. And that's not a mean thing. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Who's that?
Codge, boss. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, mate. What say you?
Well, I literally kind of interrupted you, wanted to
You
interrupt
know
you,
what they say. You know what
saying,
they say. If you chat shit, you will get banged. Fuck that guy, bruv. Rest in piss, Charlie Kirk. Rest in piss.
Is that your contribution?
I mean, I hate that guy. Fuck that guy. And he's in hell right now. And fuck his kids. And fuck his whole family.
Okay. How old are you?
What did you say?
How old are you?
I'm 19.
You're 19. What year was you born?
It's none of your business, mate.
Okay, fine.
Why are you supporting this guy? Why are you supporting this guy? Why are you supporting him? He's American. He's not even from the UK.
What other contributions do you have for tonight?
I mean, this guy is obviously racist, right? And he's American, right?
What was the main sticking point for you that you disagree with Charlie Kirk about?
He used to lie about a statistic. He used to say 13% of population commits 50% of the crime. He used to say that black people are more violent than white people. He used to lie a lot about black people. He used to say that black people are all violent criminals. And he used to actually use racism as well. Like he's, I don't know if you know this, but he used to basically say that BOK people basically are a product of single mothers and that they are more prone to violence and they have low IQs and all this lies that he's been spewing and hate and full of hate and full of lies, and that's why we all hate him and that's why we don't care about him and that's why we dislike this man. Like we dislike him. He's literally like we don't care, and he's not even from the UK. That's the funny thing. I don't understand why people from the UK feel sympathy for him when he's not even from the UK. Okay, they just feel sympathy for him because he's a white man. That's why because he aligns with their whiteness and they are white and they're racist and that's why they feel sympathy for him.
Right. So when you listened to him speaking, did you listen to all of his shows or did you listen to the main things that was put out there?
I listened to what I saw online on the Twitter. I used to use Twitter a lot. Twitter obviously now has gone very it's gone downhill now because Elon Musk, he made it into a racist app. But before Twitter was used, it was a nice app, you know. But now I still use it now and then. But obviously, I used to see this guy's debates. I used to watch his debates. It was really rage baiting. Really like the stuff he used to say was really rage baiting me. So I'm really proud that they got him.
You need to be educated. You need to be educated. You're a
Why do I need
dickhead.
to?
You need to
Why
be
do I need to?
educated. You're a fucking idiot.
Woody,
Why are you angry? Why are you angry?
Sorry.
Woody, listen to host. Host said, let's just keep our mics on mute until.
Yeah, like this guy.
This guy's an idiot, though.
I mean, why don't you?
How can you say a man got shot? Oh man, you wind me up. Sorry.
Well,
I'll let
why
him
not?
talk.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you disagree with what I said? What do you disagree with? What do you disagree with?
I'm going to butt in if you don't mind, host.
So you're an idiot and you're a lefty.
Okay, I'm not lefty.
You're young. You need to be educated, my friend.
I mean, what do you want to tell me? What do you want to? What do you disagree with?
Thomas, can I just butt in? I just sat there silent. I don't think it matters where an individual comes from in the world. Look, when you start chatting, that's when violence becomes apparent.
Yeah.
Does it matter where he's from? Does it matter?
No, it
I mean, yeah, it matters because
he got shot in front of his kids. Why don't people think that's sick?
He's not even from the UK.
He got shot in front of his kids. It doesn't mean he's left wing or right wing. He got in front of his. He got shot in front of his kids.
But this is American.
Do you think that's bad or do you think that's normal?
But I want to ask you a question. How does this affect us in the UK?
He got shot in front of his kids. Do you think that's normal?
People die every day.
A lot of things
people die every day.
The world
let me tell you something. People die every day.
You don't know that it might have an effect.
What he said was being racist. Let me ask him. Can I talk, please?
I mean, I already explained, but
what he said was being racist. Answer the question.
All right. So, are you aware? Right?
When this guy went a bit quiet.
Okay, so when this guy used to
there's no proof there.
Bro, you keep talking over me. I'm trying to ask you a question, bro. Okay,
Go on.
This guy, right? He used to go on debates, yeah, and I used to watch his debates. And what he used to say is, right, he used to spew a lie, where he basically said
About what?
1350.
About what?
This idea of
About
bro,
what?
can you stop, bro? I'm trying to explain, bro. 1350. He used to lie about. He used to say 30% of the population commit 50% of crimes, and he used to basically say that these people are more prone to violence. And he used to say that black people are more prone to violence because yeah. So getting back to answering this guy's question, right? He asked me basically to say what Charlie Kirk said I was racist. Well, Charlie Kirk is a racist, yeah, and it's been confirmed that he's a racist, right? And the reason he's a racist, right, is because he used to spew racist lies about BLK people, all right, and he used to support the genocide in Gaza. Okay, so and I'm going to explain why he did that. All right, he used to lie. He used to spread this lie called 1350. 1350 basically is an outdated crime statistic, yeah, that they use in America, where they basically blame all BLK Americans for 13, which count to 13% of the population, and that they commit 50% of the crimes, which is actually not true. Okay, this is an outdated statistic, yeah, and obviously, this does not include incarcerations or exonerations. It basically only includes conviction. It basically only includes arrests, so it doesn't include convictions or exonerations as it is in America. So this is another lie. Okay. Secondly, this guy said that Palestinians basically deserve no rights, no right to exist, and that he basically was a Zionist, and he endorsed the genocide that's currently happening in Gaza. So yeah, this guy was a despicable human being. He was a racist. He was a pro-genocide, and no one should ever feel sympathy for this guy. This guy got what was coming for him, and we're all proud that finally he keep his mouth shut. Okay, I don't care. All right, all right. He keeps him. All right, but listen, even way at the end, right? Even if you guys are gonna get mad in the comments, yeah. This guy is American. He's not even from the UK, so I don't understand why you getting angry. Like, this doesn't affect any of us. He's American, all right. So who gives a damn, bro? All right, so stop getting angry about this guy. You're all racist. You all feel sympathy for him because he's white and you're white. That's the only reason you feel sympathy for him. So stop being racist.
Woody,
Yeah, sorry.
you've got 1 minute and 49 seconds.
Yeah, it's quite shocking what you're saying, really. It's quite shocking. Yeah, it's quite shocking, mate. It doesn't matter where you're from, really, does it? You didn't answer my question, by the way. You know,
What's your point, Woody? Because if people are going to start talking over people, I'm going to leave it on Showtime. If I leave it open mic, people start shouting and talking over people.
we've
Or
open.
start
We're
attacking.
all grown up here. We're all grown up, so let's everyone talk. I don't like people muted. I want people to talk. Yeah, because freedom of speech.
10 seconds.
Crack on, man. I'm willing for debate.
You've got 1 minute and 10 seconds to speak, Woody.
I'm on 2% on all shit. Sorry, excuse my language.
It's for over 18, so.
My internet. Let everyone talk. Unmute everyone, man. I'm gonna talk.
We're just going to talk over each other. So what's your views then? You've got 20 seconds left.
My views on what?
On whatever. You can see his picture.
It doesn't matter what you. I didn't believe some of his views, but you know, he stuck up for freedom of speech, and that's what I agree with. Do you reckon he deserved to die over his freedom of speech? That's my question.
Me personally, no. Right. Next person speaking. Who's that?
Kodge. Cheers, boss.
Rog, talk your talk, bro.
Yeah, so just going back to what Om says, you know, the fact that, he's overseas. Well, yeah, so a lot of things that are going on overseas are happening over there. Palestine, in fact, is overseas. Congo, etc., etc. The list goes on, unfortunately, in today's society. So, and going back to, well, he's over there, what happened, it won't have no effect on us. Well, you know, Saturday, in London, you could quite clearly see that that was resonating there straight away. I just think it's pretty sad that an individual would come on and be totally utterly chuffed to bits that somebody had been snubbed out like that. The way you get on in the world is by having a debate with each other. You might not necessarily agree with what that person's saying, but that doesn't give you the right to sort of snub them out just on the basis of that. As soon as you
people dependent instead of truly free. Charlie believed that when you rely too much on the government, you end up stuck in a cycle of oppression. So his message was about where real power comes from, which is independence from family, from communities, and personal responsibilities, and of course your faith. He was always challenging us to think for ourselves instead of letting the system control us. Mind you, he definitely made me wiser and smarter, and I'm a young Black lady in nursing school, so I learned a lot from him. And to talk about the Gaza situation, Charlie Kirk was saying what's going on in Gaza isn't genocide, because genocide means you are trying to wipe out a whole group of people on purpose. And that's not what Israel was doing. He was saying Israel is defending itself from Hamas. If you know what was going on, that's why. And yeah, civilians died, which is sad, but it's not the same as purposely trying to kill off a group of people. And he was also saying how the media only shows one side, making Israel look like the villain, but they don't talk about Hamas hiding behind civilians and firing rockets, and how Israel gets judged is way harsher than other countries in war. And what else was I going to say? Oh, and about Juneteenth. I hear a lot of people talking about that.
We're going to swing back round to you again so you can finish off, yeah? Comrade, your mic's open. Speak it up. Speak a talk.
Are we just on a specific topic, or are we just talking?
The topic's on the screen.
I'm looking for it. I don't see it, brother.
Okay, it's a picture of Charlie Kirk on the screen. That's the topic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what the young lady said is absolutely 100% true.
You're on mute, buddy.
Thank you. Got my phone. Sorry about that. All right, so what the young lady had to say is 100% true in America. But there's a massive fundamental difference in America for the past, I'd say, 20 years, 30 years now. What it used to be from the 40s to the 70s, now from the 80s today, there's totally two different fundamental movements in America now. You have a communist socialist movement, and it's so well funded, it is so well organized. It's in our high schools, it's in our colleges, it's in our workplaces now. It's here. And I don't know how we're going to root it out. But as we know, as communism doesn't work. But it's here. And it's here to stay unless they do something drastically to remove it. Thank you for sharing the mic with me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Stay on the panel if you want. We'll circle back round, and once you've got yourself together, then you can make some more points. I think the last person who's going to speak is gone.
I just wanted to add to that guy. Yeah, communism is actually, there's nothing actually wrong with communism. Socialism is good as well. If you live in America, you have you live on the benefits of the American social system. For example, you get benefits. All right, I don't know if you know this, but you get a social credit score in America, which means that you get health care provided for by the government. So you live under a social government already, mate. So stop hating socialism. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. And also, I wanted to say, right, Tez, you were saying how basically this guy did not support genocide when you're actually wrong. This guy supported genocide because what Israel is currently doing in Gaza, they are ethnically cleansing the Gazans. All right, they are forcefully evicting all Gazans. They gave all the Gazans a warning to leave the area of Gaza. They gave them an ultimatum, and they told them that if they do not leave, they will be bombed. Okay, and as you can see, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have died in Gaza. So that is a clear genocide. Okay, so stop denying the genocide that's happening in Palestine. That is extremely disrespectful to these Palestinians that are currently being genocided. Okay.
That's no. Do you know the term genocide? It hasn't even been ruled that it's
It is a complete. Listen, let me tell you something.
You have to understand where this
Has
is
not
coming
been
from.
unalived. No, that is not true. That is not true. Where are you?
Can I give everybody just one piece of advice that save it becoming boring and us having to put this all on Showtime? Can you just let one person say their piece and then you respond? It's not hard. It's not difficult. And I think Tez was the first. She was actually discussing something off the back of what said. So I think it's only fair. Plus, she's a female, so do the gentleman thing, please.
Explaining. He never.
The definition of
Never
genocide
once.
currently.
Well, can I talk? Can I talk?
Okay, but I just want to add my point. I just
Never
want to add the definition of genocide just so everyone.
He
Okay,
never
so-
once supported genocide. I think people are
Okay,
getting
but
that.
first we have to understand the definition of genocide before we even talk about it, because otherwise, what do we know? This is.
Can I
You
say
know
something?
what-
Can I say something?
Let me tell you the
Why-
definition
why-
of genocide,
Can I
right?
quickly say something? Just quickly. Why do you keep?
Is chivalry dead? Does anybody
Sorry,
know?
man. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
This is exactly what I was trying to avoid. Everyone
Yeah.
was given an opportunity to speak, but when they had their 2 minutes, they were saying nothing. Now everyone's mic's open. People are talking over each other. Tess, go ahead, please.
Okay, so like I said, you need to know what genocide is, and it has even been ruled that it's genocide. If you understand what is going on in Israel and Palestine, and listen, we don't know everything. Do you understand that a lot of things aren't being told? Not a lot of truth is not being told. But I don't even want to continue to talk about that. You could continue, but my other point that I was saying about Juneteenth, which a lot of people were calling him racist about, when Charlie Kirk talked about Juneteenth, a lot of people were twisting it to make it sound like he was against celebrating freedom, and that's not what he meant. What he was pointing out is how the government and politicians use things like holidays, programs, and slogans to keep us divided instead of united. He wasn't against honoring the end of slavery. He was against the way Juneteenth was turned into more political propaganda instead of being a true celebration of freedom for everyone. His whole message has always been about unity through independence, not division through government dependency. Oh, okay, the floor is mine. And another thing people don't give Charlie enough credit for is how he spoke to my generation about family. He wasn't just talking politics. He was trying to pull us back towards stability, encouraging us to value marriage and raising kids the right way in a time where the culture pushes temporary hookups and broken homes. Charlie was saying, no, build something real, create strong families, because that's where true freedom and success starts. To me, that wasn't hate or judgment. That was him wanting better for us, wanting us to have structure and purpose instead of being lost in chaos. That's why I respected him very much. And since I have the floor, we could talk about DEI. No, we could talk about what a lot of people are talking about is the George Floyd situation. Charlie wasn't saying George Floyd's death wasn't wrong. He was pointing out that the way it was used afterwards, turning Floyd into a hero figure and blaming it all on America, actually divided us more. His point was about accountability, both from police who abuse power and from individuals, but not letting one tragic situation be turned into a political tool that tears the country apart. We don't have any other organizations that talk about God, putting God first and having everyone come together. You don't see any organizations. We have Black Lives Matter, again, to separate us. And that's why people still bring up racism and all these things. If racism still exists, then Obama would have never been president. Kamala would have never been vice president. Like, you guys got to wake up and smell the coffee and actually understand and gain some knowledge instead of creating your own narrative off of little clips on TikTok.
Thank you for speaking, mate. Tess. Again, guys, if we're going to keep jumping over each other and shouting down and attacking, it will go back to showtime. But I'm going to do this last showtime and then we go to open mic.
Yeah, fair play. No, it's no good. Respect to host, and it's going back to almost what Charlie was there for. It's about he was all about open mic. It was, look, I'm not going to stand up and slam you down for whatever. He was there. You say your piece, I'll say my piece. Some of the best things in the world of being resolved through conversation. Some of the people that I disagree with 100% on this platform, I get on with, like house on fire. It's crazy. We totally disagree with each other, but we respect each other's views. We don't say, yeah, I'm going to come around your house and all that sort of malarkey. Just doesn't work. And it kind of goes against what people were saying that Charlie was racist. In fact, when you've got Tess there, sort of, standing up for him totally. And I don't really know a massive amount about him, but I'm hearing that a lot of the time is the younger generation, the amount of them that sort of respected him and the sort of own values and so on and so forth. So, but like I said earlier, it kind of reminded me of JFK. It reminded me of John Lennon. It reminded me of a lot of the sort of assassinations that have gone on through history that you just purely think that's just a total and utter waste. Why on earth would somebody even do that? So just a lame. It's almost what I thought is that individual did that because he was just sort of fired down when it come to the discussion.
All right, on the next round, I'm going to cut it down to a minute because I think it's stretching people a little bit too much. Comrade, floor's yours again.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Tess is right. Communism and socialism does not work. If you look between the 1950s and the 1970s, Americans had more wealth in that time. So did the British, so did Venezuela, so did the Iranians. From that time, if you have a honest form of capitalism, right, and you have less government control, the people are much better off and much wealthier. Now, if you look at today's value of today's dollar and back then, totally two different sides of a coin. Okay, our dollar had value. The British pound had, or I don't know if it was the British pound or sterling back then, but it had transition value. The minute we moved away from these systems of hard currency is when we became much poorer, depending on the government for much, much more. And socialism doesn't work. We spend $2.7 trillion on healthcare. And look at us now. Things are much worse in America. Why is that compared to the 1970s when it cost you $10 to go see a doctor? Today it's over $100 just to see a doctor. And one more thing I'd like to mention is that Charlie Kirk was an anomaly in America. He was against socialism, he was against communism, and he paid the ultimate price for it.
Tonka, welcome to the chat. Keep it clean. 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, I don't even need a full 2 minutes. I just got a couple of things to say. First off, Tess, keep that same energy that you got. That I just happened upon this live when Tess came up to speak, and she hit the nail right on the head with everything she said. Keep that same energy. Liked hearing that. Two, some people are sitting here saying, oh, he was, the shooter was Republican, the shooter was MAGA, and all this other garbage. All I'm going to do is say, you guys take a look at actually what happened there. Anybody that knows anything about long pew-pews, I'm going to try to keep it TikTok approved. Knows that a Mauser is not an easy pew-pew to take apart. And when he jumped off that roof, he had nothing on him but a backpack. And a Mauser is not going to fit in a backpack unless you take the barrel off. And then he's going to run into the woods, and he's going to drop it he's going to put it back together and drop it in the woods. Makes absolutely no sense. All I'm saying is just keep an eye on things, and just people need to understand the government's trying to keep us divided, and we don't need to be divided. So that's all I got. You can take it away from me.
All right, no problem. Thanks very much. Yeah, I appreciate you. It's gonna automatically go to the next person. Foam grown or homegrown. The floor's yours.
Okay. Just bear with me a minute so I can think where to start. As far as socialism not working, that's not entirely true. Socialism actually is what pulled America out of the Great Depression, where Franklin Delano Roosevelt applied socialist policies to create government jobs to give people employment. Socialism has also allowed poor children to have free lunch, and I have no problem with socialized healthcare. So socialism does work. The problem I have is with Charlie Kirk is that Charlie Kirk to me is nothing but a product of white supremacy and capitalism. I say that because he is a Christian national. Christian nationals have been historically identified with the opposition of abolition as well as the opposition of the civil rights movement. Historically, he even regardless of what he said, the words he said, which are racist, he was a proud Christian nationalist. He would tell you to your face. So to say that he is not aligned with white supremacists is to gaslight someone and to be an outright lie. Am I endorsing him dying? No. But what I'm saying is that he, to me, as a black man, is what a white American would consider Al Qaeda, because he was a direct threat to me and my family's livelihood and well-being. That's all I really have to say. So I can hop back on mute.
All right, just remember it's in showtime. 16 seconds counting down. Guys, tap up the live, please. Share out the live, please. We need to push this live out a bit more now, because I've restricted this live to 18s and overs. So please, guys, if you can like up the live and share out the live, the next person is going to be coming in 2 seconds. So Bear Belly Love, the floor is yours for 2 minutes. You don't have to use all 2 minutes. Let me know if you don't.
Okay. I don't know how much. I'm just going to rant a little bit. We're talking about the Kirk situation, right? That's the topic.
Yep, his picture's on the screen. That's who we're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I feel bad for a wife who's now a widow. I feel bad for a daughter who is now fatherless. I feel bad for anyone who loved him as a person that lost a loved one. I do not feel bad that his ideas are no longer being spread. I do not feel bad that the bigotry and rhetoric that he was spreading will no longer be spread. That being said, it's not going to be it's going to still be spread. Like it's like his death only exacerbated those. Like again, I've the common sentiment I've seen from the right is we got to arm ourselves because if this happened to Kirk, this could happen to any one of us. And the sentiment from the left is, oh, the right is arming themselves. We have to be afraid of those people. And now both sides are. I forgot who was saying it earlier, but it's a divisive um, it's a divisive topic. And I think that if you are thinking about who actually benefits from the situation, who actually is better off because of this Kirk unaliving. I think it only points to the 1% and the most powerful because it's just a divisive. It's just trying to divide the people, um, and it doesn't really help the right. It doesn't really help the left. It just makes us both hate each other more. And so I think that justification of hey, who does this help? 1%. That's the biggest likelihood. If it wasn't just a crazy person. Thank you.
Space Cowboy, 2 minutes.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
All right, cool. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. So we'll start with that. I've heard a lot of people say that the rhetoric he would spread is harmful and hateful, and the only harmful and hateful one was Tyler Robinson, and that's it. This is America, and we have freedom of speech. We're allowed to say things that we want. We're allowed to have open discourse, and Charlie Kirk was silenced. His freedom of speech was taken from him. And, I just think it's kind of funny for people to come on here and say, oh, it was his rhetoric that, caused this. No, it was your rhetoric. It was your words calling him, a Nazi, a fascist, harmful. Like some guy just said that his words directly affected his family. I call BS on that. That's some horse shit. His words didn't harm anyone. It's words. And I'm sorry if his words, made you feel like insecure or got you in your feelings, but you got to grow up and be an adult, because violence is not the issue or the solution. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, guys, share up the live, please. We've got 30 seconds before the next person comes up and speaks. Tap on the screen if you can. Let's get this live out. I have restricted this live to 18s and over, just because of the nature of what we're discussing. People tend to get a little bit excited and inflamed and what they're saying. So start liking up the live, please, guys, if you can, yeah? The next person that's going to be coming in to speak is going to be Thomas. So, Thomas, get your mic ready. You've got 2 minutes.
How's it going, y'all?
How's it going?
There's been a couple comments down there that are absolutely right. They silenced the truth. That's all they did. They silenced the truth. They divided the country more. And when I say they, I am 100% positive that there was more involved than just Tyler, because there's too many things that do not add up in this. But when the left does not want the truth, they silence it. They refuse to hear the truth. They don't want to listen to it. It's just like on TikTok. You watch all these people. He's MAGA. He's this. He's that. Okay, go look at, Google. All you got to do is Google it on your phone, if it's true or if it's not true. And, there's another one, Xavier. All his racist remarks. So Xavier, please show us what racist remarks. Pull it up instead of being ignorant to the truth, because he was not a freaking racist. And I'm just tired of hearing people say he was a racist, he was this, he was that. He was not. He was a man of God, his faith, and very, very intelligent. He read, what was it, 100 books a year, apparently he read. So he knew what he was talking about. He also researched the truth.
Thomas, was Charlie a patriot or a nationalist, or was he both?
I think he was a patriot. because he was trying to spread the truth instead of trying to spread hate and divide. He was trying to bring people together. He was trying to educate the college kids. It was a little harsh when he would talk about how they're wasting their money going to college, because that's all they have.
All right, thanks for talking, Thomas. Thanks for your time. You can stay on the panel. Next person is Lord. Lord? You've got 2 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you.
I don't know. This whole thing is just getting crazy. Like, they say you don't want to, go against violence, more violence, but at the same time, it's just getting worse. I mean, I don't know what else we can do as a whole. I mean, they're just these people are just getting more radical every day. More like they tried taking out Donald Trump. They just took out Charlie Kirk. I mean, but what's stopping it? I mean, what's going to stop it? That's right. That's all I want to know. What's going to change? What's going to change it?
Is it possible that people need to be a bit more less divisive? That might help.
Possibly, but I don't know. I don't want to be radical. Of course, I want peace with everybody and everything, and I pray for the dude who shot Charlie Kirk. I really do. He doesn't know he obviously didn't know what he did. I feel like he was heavily influenced, and I don't know what needs to happen, but whatever we're doing is not working. It's getting worse. We actually just had somebody actually die this time instead of last time missing Donald Trump. We actually just got somebody killed. So whatever we're doing as a society, it's not working. And being soft and making this world softer, trying to be peaceful is not working. In my opinion, something needs to change. Whatever.
Okay, speak. You got 2 minutes.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, it's just been a crazy week here in the States, I don't even know where to begin. Yeah, it's been absolute. I mean, it's been crazy in the UK as well, I really don't like to see what's happening over there. I think you got a bunch of, knobheads and idiots that are, lining up and hoarding by the millions over in the UK. I think those guys are a bunch of jackasses, a bunch of idiots over there, Yeah, it's really sad. The UK is going to become fascist. America's going down that route too. It's scary, man.
Is that it? Do I need to give the mic to someone else, or?
That's all I had to say. Unless you had something to add to that.
Yeah, well, it's a live show, so it's a rotation thing. But if you want to wrap up, I'll wrap you up and let the mic be given to the next person, which is Colin.
Hello. So one thing that I find really funny whenever I hear somebody pull out the comments about how Charlie was a racist, and they try to pull out the black pilot or the black women don't have brain power. I mean, even if you take out the context, let's just say that he said that. He was a really bad racist if his best friend was Candace Owens and if he helped her shoot up her career. There's videos of him dancing with her, praying with her, hanging out with her. The dude really sucked at being a racist. He also sucked at being a homophobic for shooting down a Christian for trying to push the LGBT out of the conservative movement. He scolded the guy and saying that Jesus ate with tax collectors, he ate with sinners. So those two arguments are absolutely asinine. Like with, I see the Bear said, he literally said black people don't have brain power to compete with white people. Not only is that not even the exact quote, he didn't say black people in general. He was talking about a select few of black women. And I'd argue that even if you were to sit here and say that what he said was inflammatory, even if you were to say that what he said could have been said better, that's all that you can say. We could argue if what he said wasn't intense enough, but For context, I'm in the military. I'm actually a chaplain. I work for maintainers. If we were to talk about inflammatory and shooting everybody down, everybody in the military should be fired that is enlisted. Because every day there's inflammatory stuff across the board to everybody. So if we're going to damn people because of inflammatory stuff that they say in moments of intensity, then, I mean, everybody needs to just go on the chopping block. We can argue whether he said stuff that could be better or not, but you can't argue that he's racist or homophobic. You just can't.
Yeah, maybe we can't say that. We can say he's been a very inflammatory figure over the last several years, 4+ years. Any one of those statements he made could have kicked somebody off to do some horrible things. And they potentially, I would never suggest anyone should not be with us anymore for what they say, but people would have the right to be upset with him. But what's happened over the last couple of weeks that led up to this? He's made it clear that he believes that the United States and Israel are perpetrating an ethnic cleansing in Gaza. And he was very clear about his feelings on the Epstein list that should be fully released. Is it a coincidence that he is unalived within weeks after he makes these statements and is very strong about it? People get unalived for speaking the truth. And I think that's what happened here.
Baltimore, the floor is yours.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, hey, I just popped in, no clue, first time here, but I just want to, give a story on why people may feel a certain way. Let's take Brittany Griner, for instance, okay? He advocated for Brittany Griner to stay in a Russian prison because he, as many people felt, that Paul Whelan should, be released as well. And the issue is this, that Paul Whelan was actually taken during the Trump administration. And, Trump never whispered a word about Paul Whelan as his brother, told everybody. And I'm pretty sure Biden did try to get Paul Whelan out of Russia. But for him and other people to want an American citizen who has been held on vape oil to spend her life in a prison, in a Russian prison, that's pretty low, So it's like, a lot of people are just looking at the things he says, and we determine that, we don't agree with those things, okay? And I mean, it's kind of odd, like I said, Trump never once mentioned or tried to get Paul Whelan out of Russia, but Biden did. Everyone wants to blame Biden for saving an American citizen, Brittany Griner, because, the emotions and stuff about who she is as a person. That's just one example of what some people may consider just a small thing, but literally it's a huge thing because half of America is pretty much saying the same thing. Keep that young woman in a Russian prison. So you have to understand why people feel a certain way about the things that he says. And let's not go into black pilots because let's remember because he's the airmen who were considered some of the best pilots in World War II, okay? And quite frankly, when I see a black pilot, my first thought is, wow, this guy must really be, he must really be, qualified because I'm pretty sure he went through some more stringent things to become a pilot. So see, I see it a different way that he sees it. He sees a black person that he assumes got a pilot's job from playing video games. And I see a black pilot who probably really is very qualified. Okay, so that's all. That's my point. Thank you very much.
Hey, man, if you're from Baltimore, by the way, go Ravens.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that. We love Joe Flacco, but we had to let him know.
Dude, I love me some Joe Flacco. Love me some Lamar. He's the best quarterback. The only one to reach top 10 QBR historically with other greats while being the top number one running quarterback. So
cool.
Lamar, he's the only one to reach that stat.
It's funny how Lamar gets treated in the media, because You know, he like from Baltimore, and they pinned the Baltimore Wire, you know, kind of you know, tag on him with Baltimore. The Wire was filmed in like a four block area. You know, so yeah, Lamar's a great individual.
Oh, he's an amazing man.
Go Birds, go Jalen Hurts.
But hey, if I could add a little bit of like just pushback on the thing about what Charlie said about black pilots.
Can I say something real quick before you go?
Weird.
No, let me just say something. So all this Charlie Kirk situation, I just want to chime in if I can. All this seems all performative and just like selective outrage people are showing right now. It's just ridiculous at this point. They're trying to lower all the flags in this country for a podcaster. He was a podcaster. You guys are acting like he's the president or something like that. He was just a podcaster, a divisive figure. So why does everyone want us to feel bad for this man after everything he has done over his life? It's just so crazy to me that everyone's whining and complaining about
Because
this guy.
for
Huh?
his words.
Because
died-
he represents Jesus.
I'm sorry?
He represents Jesus. That's where everybody, all these
No, he
Jesus
doesn't.
freaks
No,
out
he
here.
doesn't. No, he
He was
doesn't.
no, I know he
He
doesn't.
doesn't.
I know he doesn't. I'm saying that's what everybody thinks he was, but he wasn't. He was actually the antithesis. He was the Antichrist.
So
He's
I'm
not
just,
the Antichrist.
I just like all these Republicans are whining and crying. Like, okay, it's unfortunate that it happened, but honestly, thoughts and prayers. That's all I gotta say.
Anybody who argues that he
Today,
was actually a
what we're
bad
talking
man
about is sensible
doesn't
pew
actually
pew laws.
context
Why are we
into
talking about
nothing.
sensible pew pew laws at this point? Like it never hits the conversation because it's off the table. We need to put it back on the table. That's what's gonna help things. Somebody asked earlier, what do we do? What do we do to improve? Sensible pew pew laws. One, top of the list, number one issue for a next election.
There was a pew pew law that should have prevented that from happening, which is no guns in a gun-free zone, which was a college. Guess what happened? A shooting on a college campus.
I'm scared this might affect us in the
Charlie's
midterms.
guys dropped the ball.
I'm really scared this might affect us in the midterms next year, to be honest.
Dealing with a psyop situation.
Also, we can't tell the president when or when not to lower the flag. That's actually his
Yo,
right.
what's the reason for lowering the flags for? What's the reason for that?
The lowering of the flag, the half-mast, is kind of like us taking a knee in a moment of
For a
silence.
podcaster?
For a Christian man who died just for speaking and
Was he
for
a politician? Wait, was he a politician? Yes or no?
no, but he
Okay.
donated a lot of money to help a lot of people, not just politicians. You know what his business did on the side?
Divisive person who like always like try to pull fast one on Democrats and liberals.
He
Like,
didn't just try to pull a fast. He met everybody where they were at. Anybody that wanted to try to pull a gotcha is when he would actually do that, which is what anybody would do in a normal conversation. If you tell somebody is trying to BS you or mess with you or cut you up, you're going to do it back.
is this a guy who said that people who get blown away, people have to be blown away to keep the Second Amendment? Is that what he said? Yes or no?
Yeah.
That is what he said, but let's say the whole quote.
Go ahead then.
What was he talking about? He was
Say it.
talking about gun rights in general and how gun deaths are going to happen in a world where there are guns. Because being a man of faith, he understands that evil exists, that people are going to do evil. Guess what happens when the UK takes away guns? There's now mass stabbings. You know what happened when the first death was with a rock? You want to wear a shirt that says ban rocks? Death happens no matter what you do.
That's silly.
People are evil no matter what you do.
Yo, Colin, I have a question for you, Colin.
Go for it.
Didn't this guy said if his daughter, 10-year-old daughter, got raped, he'll like keep the baby or something like that? Did he say that?
That was in a conversation about possible rape. And
Yeah, and he literally said, "I'll keep the baby if my 10-year-old daughter got raped."
he was talking about it from biblical standards. You can't make somebody.
No, he wasn't.
He didn't.
The only reason that YT people care about this is because they're scared because he looks like them. That's the only reason YT people care about this right now.
We're talking biblical. Let's go back to the muskets that were written into
Seriously.
the Constitution.
Where it
think
took
that this is
3
why?
minutes
Because
to reload a gun.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying.
that's a stupid argument, and honestly, it'd be a worse way to die by a musket than it would by any other firearm nowadays.
Well, that's stupid. I'm
Oh,
just
so
saying
you're
that was
saying
a
he
weapon
was
of choice back in the day when the
he should be
Constitution was
grateful that he was mowed down then? Is that what you're saying?
written. Bombs.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you want to talk about how we need to go back to muskets, then you're kind of damning.
You're going biblical.
No, you're the one who said, "Hey, let's take it back to the Bible."
Hey, I want to jump in. Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Notice, hey, if name one. I mean, nobody can name a gun that's killed somebody by itself.
You all literally watched him die, right? You saw him get shot, right?
Yeah, I think I saw somebody on the top of the building too. I don't think it was a gun holding a gun.
That what? Like, I don't get how to get past this point because this to me is just
Okay, well here, ask a question and
ignorant.
help me understand what point you're trying to say.
How are you saying that guns don't kill people?
It's about the fact that deaths happen in an evil intent with anything. Take the
Right.
gun
So
out.
you just answer this. You don't believe that he deserved to die, right?
I do not believe that he deserved to die.
Then who deserves to die?
Nobody, unless you are.
But you just said it's something that we all do.
That evil exists, is what I'm trying to say. I didn't say evil kill people.
No
I said
one
that
would
more
know
than
anything about good if there wasn't a bad.
Sorry, I kind of talked over you. Could say that again?
Without bad, there wouldn't be good. There wouldn't be any good if there was bad. Because no one would know what bad is if there wasn't such thing as bad. So there has to be evil to have good. And it's the person that chooses to be evil or good. It's the person. It's not the gun. It's not the knife. It's not the object. It's the person.
Right. Well, if you want to speak in those terms, then white supremacy is the reason for this.
How?
Look at all of the people who unalive people. By and large, it is YT people.
Okay,
This
so
dude, the
white
shooter, was a
supremacy-
groiper. He was the worst of the right-wing extremists.
The shooter had a transgender boyfriend.
I don't give a shit if the shooter had a transgender boyfriend, you idiot. The shooter was a
Okay,
groiper.
how about we don't insult, because insults is just challenging stuff.
Well,
But
she's telling you.
what do you look like bringing up someone's partner when they killed someone? It
The
matters
trans-
more what their partner identifies as that they killed someone?
Yeah, the
Be so
trans
for
person.
real.
The trans person has
Put him
nothing
under a
to do
political
with
line
this,
for your
Colin.
agenda.
Oh, that's all it is.
The trans person has nothing to do with this, Colin.
Literally.
What was on the dude's bullet?
Groiper messaging. Right-wing extremist, ironic, meme lord, meme page, edge lord bullshit.
The dude called Charlie a fascist. That's not right winger.
Yeah, it is when you are more when you're more fascist, when you're more extreme. Don't you get that
Okay,
these
if you wanna say
right-wing
that
extremists live in irony? This is a meme lord person who killed someone.
Okay, if you want to say that the person who killed him for his speech is fascist, I believe that falls under fascism. That's fine, but that doesn't mean that it's right wing. It just doesn't.
You think a left-leaning person is going to put, if you're reading this, you're gay, LMAO?
I think that anybody would put that.
Okay, right.
There's only
Yeah.
one person. There's only one person online who's literally come out and said, "I'm afraid." And that's Nick Fuentes. Okay.
Hey, Colin. Colin.
Yeah.
When I first found out Charlie Kirk passed away, I thought it was because of fentanyl overdose.
I mean, President Trump said 300 million people died last year, so I mean, it's possible.
Because that's what Kirk said about George Floyd. He died
Right.
of a fentanyl overdose.
The dude had a crap ton of fentanyl in his system.
Well, how about the Trayvon Martin people who want to take Trayvon Martin poses on the ground, and no one seemed to have a problem with that. Doing the Trayvon
Remind
Martin, pose
Remind me
on.
about
Or
the
Elijah
situation.
McClain.
Hey.
Remind me of the Trayvon Martin one.
Well, anyway, you know for a fact that after Trayvon Martin died, that people start taking shots, pictures of themselves lying on the ground and saying they're Trayvoning, and they had like Skittles and soda nicks to them. And that's the big thing. I mean, you may have missed it, but a lot of people went online and made selfies of themselves lying on the ground. And how about Donald Trump Jr. with the Paul Pelosi Halloween costume? I mean, it's like, I agree it's all crap, but let's not say, but the crap comes from one side more than the other side, okay? Like, trans are not responsible for school shootings, I'm saying by a very small number,
The crap comes from one side over the other.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Really? How about all the clips? Was it Joy Reid, I think it's a representative, I think, in Minnesota, that talked about going and shooting Donald Trump, that says, if you see anybody in a restaurant, that's basically the opposite of what you need. You need to push them out. You need to push back. Make them regret it. Fight. Okay? So if I go in and I wear anything that's remotely, let's say I wear my defund gun control shirt.
Yes, the Second Amendment people, do something with Hillary Clinton. So it's a tick for attack in that situation when we all can say it's all bad, okay?
That's fine. We can say that it's all. I mean, if you want to tell me that everything is bad, but that's my entire point.
You tell me, because I've already told you.
Say again.
I mean, I've already told you it's all bad. I mean, tell me it's all bad.
Sorry, in the midst of a few things, I might have lost that one part of it. But I think that we are just evil, and so my point that I said is just that, like, when it comes to the topic about guns, people are going to use anything to kill somebody. Look at the Ukrainian girl. If you want to talk about,
they're going to blame all the black passengers for her death when a black girl her throat was slit. I'm just saying that's the what about the if and the and. I'm saying, yeah, that's a sad situation. If my daughter was on that train, I would want her to get out the way too. Okay. I mean, you can be a hero if you want to, but you can't blame people who are not being heroes. You damn sure can't say that they're like, complicit in the situation.
well, that's not. Oh, I'm not actually pointing at the people who are complicit.
Well, I'm saying that everyone else it's online. It's running really live, and there are thousands, millions of likes blaming these decent people.
I'm very back and forth about that because I'd argue that there are some people who would have, if this was the opposite.
Well, they were there. Unfortunately.
But like if this was the opposite in like having a bunch of YT people sitting on the side, or if it was a person of color that was stabbed instead, it would have been different.
Yeah, well, you can't. Well, one thing you can't do, you can't buy a postcard from it. Okay, like back in the old days at the picnics and stuff when they were, they were like celebrating certain things, unaliving, certain people and burning them up and then making postcards to sell. It's not like that. Is it? Okay, anyway. I'm out. Let's leave.
Oh man. Well, okay. I don't even know what else to say. I mean, if you want to sit here and say that I'm afraid because I look like him, that's so wrong. I'm sad that a man died for speaking. I'm sad that he died and you guys try to twist who he was when this was a guy who scolded a extremist for trying to push out LGBT. This is a guy who said solely about DEI that he was more frustrated with the fact that like it would make him question somebody in that job because he didn't want to. That's the guy who challenged people in general to go against what they may think about themselves and to be better. This is a guy who didn't spread hate. He could have said stuff better, but he didn't spread hate.
So I think we have to be careful about trying to rewrite this man's life as if he's some martyr. As a young Christian who almost joined like the Young Republicans Club in college and almost joined one of Charlie Kirk's chapters at my college. He's not, I would say, the best person, and we can't say he didn't try to spread hate and division. I mean, the man said so many things on immigration, gun violence, Democrats. Like, he said the American Democratic Party hates this country. They want to see it collapse. They love when it becomes less white. He didn't say, like, you can't say he didn't say anything that wasn't divisive or that wasn't trying to spread hate. I think he was a patriot, but and I think that he wanted good things for America, but I
Okay, hi. Um, Thanks for having this public debate. I've been seeing a lot of it going on TikTok. I'm loving the we are able to come together and actually have good communication. So I'm what you call a realizationist. So what a realizationist is to realize that no matter what you try to do, there's a certain percentage that cannot be helped within any situation because the greater of all good, right? So I think people need to start kind of taking a look at things in a different type of way with how this is going down. Also, no one deserves to die for what they believe in. That's what I believe. I also believe in public discourse, public deliberation, and being able to come to a common ground. But we need to look at scientific facts before we do anything else, because without looking at the metrics and having real metrics, not metrics that are manipulated, real actual metrics, can we as a community even begin to try to get back to where we're healthier and in a better state?
I think something that like a lot of people are failing to realize is that he held these rallies, if you will, and people showed up. Hundreds of people showed up that either supported what he was saying or didn't, and he welcomed them to debate him. He gave them a voice, he gave them a microphone, and he he congratulated them for some thoughts that he had, and he gave them pushback for some others. But, you know, Charlie wouldn't have had a voice if it weren't for both ends of the coin. People who believed in his word and supported him, and people who didn't. And at the end of the day, whether you supported him or not, these people still gave him a platform. Everyone still gave him a platform. So my time's up. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I just want to echo some of the earlier comments. I don't want to get into why what happened, but I do think it's really important that we have clear eyes in terms of who Charlie Kirk was, what he turned into. You know, 6 years ago, he was on the right, but he was a secular Christian, and he actually denounced what he called a sanctimonious approach by Christians to homosexuality. And then he kind of radicalized and morphed into a Christian nationalist. And I think a lot of people who believe in Jesus and follow the Bible recognize that a lot of the views that he pushed were the antithesis of what Jesus teaches us to be. And so my time's up. Thanks.
I don't see the big deal about his death. He's, to me, just another person. I felt like we dropped the ball as a country. Why would we fly this man's body back to his home? Why would you fly the fags half-staff for somebody that basically, like one guy said, he was basically a podcast, a YouTube guy. There's people that is unalived every day, and we barely hear anything about them. Quit making this guy more than what he is. He was a racist with a voice, if you ask me. I don't condone him being unalive, and I'm not going to celebrate it, but at the same time, I'm not going to put him as if he's some sort of saint. The guy was not good. He was biased in the things that he did, regardless, and that's part of the reason why we are divided as a country.
Or okay, Connor.
We're back to open mic. Clean.
So, host, I
People
was
can
really
be
just
adults.
cut off at the knees. But I can tell this is not a panel I would want to be in anyway. I think a lot of you guys are really racist. So with that, I'm getting the fuck out of here for sure.
You don't have to announce you're
I
leaving.
feel the
It's not an
safest I've
airport.
ever been for who I am. I'm sorry that you don't feel so safe, but I feel very safe. Probably the safest I've ever fucking been, and I'm 61. So you can kiss my ass. How about that?
Bye.
Why do you have to be so ugly?
Get right with God, lady.
Bye.
Not
Why do
half
you
of y'all.
have to? Why do you have to be so ugly though? We can have good
Because I didn't
discourse.
even get to finish, because that's
But
why.
that's not our fault. It has to do
We
with
had
the
a
timer.
lover, and it was a transgender.
You didn't.
Okay?
But that's not our fault, ma'am.
That's not our
I
fault.
don't know
You know
you.
what? It's your fault for just accepting this bullshit. Okay? Are
So
you a
what?
parent
Okay,
yet? When you
so
become a parent one day, you'll understand,
my
stupid
baby's
ass.
dead, and I still am able to give people respect.
Look, I'm going to tell
Thank
you
you.
something, sweetheart. Better go read the Bible. That's what he was trying to teach you
Oh,
guys. You
honey,
don't want to listen
Matthew
to that.
9:22,
You don't want
1
to listen.
Corinthians 12, Exodus 12:19.
You
Please
don't
don't
want
play with
to
me.
listen,
I
lady.
rebuke you, ma'am. We
And he
need
flew
help.
on Air Force
Did you take
Two.
your
How
meds
about
today?
that shit?
Did you take your meds
How
today?
about that?
Did you take your meds today?
Not even MLK got to do that. I don't
Got it.
take any medication, sweetheart. I take
You need to.
vitamins at 61.
Ma'am,
Maybe you should.
you need to leave, ma'am.
Okay,
You need to.
I'm just letting you know I was cut off.
God be with you. God bless.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
you need to go read the Bible. That's the whole problem.
You don't understand
God
how
bless
this
you.
works.
Have a good day.
To teach people.
Ma'am,
You
there
ain't
was
gotta
a
Ma'am,
have
there's a
to.
man
timer.
and a
God
woman,
bless you.
and
Have a
that
good
is
day.
it. Yeah.
You can't
Go
talk to people
listen
like
to
that.
his podcast for a little
You can't
while
listen.
and
You
just listen
can't
to
talk
what
to
he
people like
said.
that.
Ma'am, no one cut
Oh,
you off.
no. And then there's a pastor in Virginia's in all kinds of fucking trouble. A man of the cloth talking about him being unalive. Are you serious? Go
It's all
listen
over the
and listen to
news.
his rhetoric.
Host, can you
Safest I've
cut
ever
this person
been
off?
in
This
my
is
life.
crazy.
Seriously.
No, she has no respect for anybody else because her time was cut
No.
off
You didn't
due
have any for
to
me because somebody cut me
IT.
off.
No
Due
one
to
cut
IT.
you
No one cut you
off.
off. It is a
Somebody cut me
timer.
off
Darren,
for my
Ma'am, you
minute.
put this on a
Oh my
1 minute
God.
time.
No.
Darren, can I speak?
I was on topic when I was talking.
Darren, can I speak?
Adios, amigos. Goodbye. No, I don't care if you speak or not. Shit.
Then leave. There's the door.
Thank God.
I'm so
That
sorry,
that
but
what
you
happened with a
cannot.
lot of the Charlie supporters. They get mad because they don't get their way, and they just crash out.
So people
Can you
complain
not
about
like put us all into one box though?
so people complain that I let people speak and I let people have their views, right? When they have their 1 or
Honey,
2 minutes.
you
Hold
can
on,
do everything to make
speaking.
everybody
Let me
happy, but
finish
you won't.
speaking. Sorry, let me finish speaking because I'm going to put it back to showtime if people keep jumping over each other. I set this live up so we all can have an adult civil conversation. This live is being set up as an 18 plus live, right? This is what I try to do every single night. But if adults can't be adults and adults can't agree to disagree, I will just stick it back to showtime. Whoever wants to speak now can speak. It's open mic. If it gets out of order, I'm going to put it back to showtime.
All I was saying, Alexander, is you can try to make everybody happy, and I sincerely appreciate you putting the timer. And I'm so sorry for the disrespect that came in here.
All right, let's get back to the topic. Charlie.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I agree with the gentleman who was speaking right before the end of Showtime, talking about what is really wild to me is, the treatment afterwards in terms of being flown home on Air Force Two and a military style escort, and now the Vice President of the United States giving a speech entirely about this person. This is really wild and very scary, the way everything is escalating and this person is being lionized. He was just a regular person. He was, whether you agreed with him or not, he's just a regular person. He wasn't an elected official. He wasn't a member of the military.
as a British person, can I ask you Americans about that? Is it something that the president is allowed to do to
Yes.
Yes.
any civilian at any given time,
Yes.
regardless of status?
Yes.
We
That's,
don't.
but it
Nope,
just
it's
doesn't
never been
happen.
done before.
It just doesn't happen. But yeah, they're allowed to. There's no law prohibiting it, but we've just not seen this before. And so what you're seeing is an administration that technically, yes, they're abiding by the rules, but what they're showing us is that the rules, the boundaries can be pushed so close to a breaking point. The way that they are bending things, and this isn't just relevant to Charlie Kirk; it's across a whole number of policy areas. But this is yet another example of they're kind of breaking the spirit of the rule
So,
with this treatment of him.
what if you have
So
a huge, a large amounts of people in your society that disagree with the president using taxpayers' funds to do that? What then
Yeah, there's
happens?
no recourse. Yeah, there's no recourse.
So the president has the power under like to be able to do stuff like this in honor of somebody. I think that it's arguable if it was anybody across any political line to be able to do something like this if they died for their speech. I think that it would have been arguable to extend it to others who have also died. So I would say we did it right for Charlie, but we didn't do it right for others in certain situations. I mean, I'm with the honor guard. I'm the chaplain of that honor guard that received him, and they had. I mean, there's no issue really. Some of them were kind of like standoffish, but they were numb. But that's the only point I was going to make on that. But we can also look back at history and see how other presidents honored other people through holidays that we created. I know I'm not trying to create a comparison of Charlie Kirk to MLK like a lot of people have, but MLK does have a very honored holiday.
So the president is allowed to take the civilian and put the civilian line in place.
Yes.
I mean, if they really wanted to, they could do it for almost every single civilian that passes away if it really was something that, because within executive powers, I mean, all he has to do is if the other branches don't abide by it, he has absolute control over the Marines. Not many people know this, but the U.S. Marines, the reason why they have the lowest budget is because it's meant to create a balance of power, because the U.S. Marines swear an oath to the Oval Office and the Constitution. They don't swear an oath to Congress like essentially I do, in a way.
I saw something today that, and just correct me if I'm wrong because I haven't been watching the news feed, but Trump skipped the line in state to go and play golf.
Every president does that to an nth degree. I don't know. Honestly, if you really want to nickel and dime everybody for everything, I mean, you can talk about different holidays, different vacations, what they do with their money. But I mean, the only thing that I can extend an opinion on is, yeah, he did. Yeah, he does use it. I just don't know how often in comparison to other presidents.
So someone just
Use what? What does he use?
He was talking about like using his time and then some of funds for golfing, like how presidents do.
You know what's written in the rules right now? Obama talked about this. He said that the presidents have to pay their own meals. Did you hear about this?
I did not know.
Yeah, in the White House, the presidents pay their own meals. So if they order people always talk about like, oh, isn't it great that like you can order a sandwich in the middle of the night and someone will make it for you? And he goes, we pay for all that food, everything that they keep track of everything that we spend in the family, and then we have to pay that bill at the end of the year, And I thought that was interesting, and I wondered why that was. And the whole thing is that those are extravagances, the things that they set up. So it's built into the system that they're supposed to not have extravagances that cost the taxpayer unnecessary funds. But what Trump has basically tested is he's tested that because there's always been social norms. It's always been a thing. Like we've always respected presidents don't look to be extravagant. We're not trying to be those those countries that need to pay for like ridiculous extravagances. But it's always been like an unwritten rule. But Trump, if it's not written down, well, it doesn't matter if it's written down or not. The guy just doesn't respect any type of rule.
Yeah. It's interesting so I work for the federal government, and there are all these ethics rules. And I just got through my ethics training today because you're mandated. You have to take it once a year. And it was kind of it's the first time that I've had to take it since Trump got back in office. And it was wild to sit and watch a video saying, I am not allowed to have anyone outside of my family or close friends give me a hot dog, pay for a hot dog. That's specifically mentioned, a slice of pizza. I cannot go to an event where there is a carving table, so like prime rib being carved. If I'm going as a guest of someone, I cannot partake of that because it violates ethics rules of gifts over $50. Also, any food that can be considered a full meal, like a hot dog, because that's meat and bread, or pizza, which is like cheese and bread. And then we've got Trump getting planes. We've got Trump making money on Bitcoins, all because, as the previous speaker was just saying, like, there are laws against it, but again, he knows how to go right up to the line, and who's gonna check him?
Didn't Trump recently, just correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Trump last year, didn't he come out in sneakers last year?
Yes, yeah, he made his own sneakers.
Yep, and he has a lot of products online. He refused to divest from any of his companies because he tested it the first time. He thought, like, the first presidency, he was like, oh, like, let me see how far I can take this. Second one, he didn't bother at all. It's very much like, like, I'll just do whatever I want. And this is actually this is like, I mean, I don't want to say, I don't, like, please don't take my word as like, oh, this is why Trump is fantastic. But he has basically shaken this house, and we now can see a lot of little points where we need to fix.
Yes.
And need to adjust. And there's something nice about that. There's something nice about a criminal that's so dumb that they show you what they do. All criminals are, like, I love the criminal that posts, that after the robbery, they post online all the stuff that they got, and the cops find them because they're just so dumb. You know what I mean? Like, that's what Trump does. Trump basically declares all his crimes, and he kind of like, and we're just so what's the word, like, where it's just so many things that we don't even know where to start with him.
Yeah,
You know?
I think it's really demonstrated how our system of government was constructed in another century at another time, and progress has, moved so quickly, and we are now, I think, being confronted with, thanks to President Trump, with all the inequities of our current system. And I think, look, I'm vehemently opposed to Trump and everything that he stands for. But one thing that I am grateful for is that I hope that people who are Democrats or on the left have been woken up. And I don't mean like woke. I just mean people were kind of asleep, and they thought that the system was fine. And we can't go back to where we used to be. For the good of everyone, things have to change. And so I think if there's anything good that can come out of this, it's that we can build something better on the other side of this.
We definitely need to tighten things up.
Guys, we got loads of people waiting down in the.
I'll jump off. Yeah, thank you so much for this discussion, guys.
Yeah, if I could tell you guys something about tightening it up from like a what I've seen budget-wise perspective. One thing I'd love for America to do in the military that I really find frustrating is we have a thing. In the chaplain corps, we have two types of funding to help our people, to like give food, energy drinks, host events and stuff. One thing that frustrates me is that one of those funds gets rolled over into next quarters, but those are the ones that are donated by people who go to our services or donate to the chaplain corps. The other one is called APF, and it's never rolled over. So if you're ever, so we always have to rush to spend every dollar because it's the commander's dollars that they're given budgeted out. And I guess just for the sake of topic of discussion, just raising that awareness about how that is, because I find it very annoying.
It's definitely annoying, and it happens in schools too. If you don't use it, then you don't get it, and if you don't keep spending it, you won't get the same budget the next year. So it's this like cycle of just waste. And instead of just looking at looking at each money pile as like, okay, well, you guys did great, and actually incentivizing people to save money. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you guys did great with your budget, so now like next year you guys can have the budget that you guys want. Because you guys did such a great savings. But no.
Yeah. Personally, I think it'd be great if we could do like after 3 fiscal years, which is like 3 years, then if your budget is continuously low, then we start cutting the budget. Like if you want to do it but that also saves us a bunch of money. I mean, there's been quarters where we do date nights every quarter and it's commander funded. And there's like a running joke about which date night sucks. It's always the one near the fiscal year. Because we don't have much money, but we're rushing to spend it.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone, like the last one that we did that I had to host, I had to ask for a bunch of volunteers. And just like, we were able to make up for it last year, and I surprised my people because I had a church volunteer to make food for a potluck.
Colin, I do want to add on to you.
Yeah.
I agree with the idea of kind of reserving funds for certain things in regards to the school system, especially as a college student, someone who saw those funds kind of get maneuvered, kind of be transferred, all of these things, overuse, underuse of certain facilities and funds and whatnot. I think my issue and the question that kind of needs to come from that is, okay, all of these schools that get this enormous budget for all of these things that don't end up using them by their quota or whatever, can that money not go towards the schools who need it? Can it not go towards the areas with a very low poverty rate, or a very high poverty rate, people who are still struggling to afford for school, just for school meals and things like that. So I'm okay with schools that have an overabundance of funds being cut if it goes towards the better good, towards other people in lower kind of economic communities being able to use whatever's left over in that share. Like, I just don't think necessarily cutting it out completely, I think, is a situation, but rather just being able to transfer it to places that actually need it,
It's crazy how money's spent too, because half of California's budget is all in the school system.
Yeah.
Half of it.
And the frustration is it shows how much actually goes towards nothing. And it's frustrating because I went to high school in Nevada, so we also had very high funding on a lot of things. But it also becomes a problem when the school board itself has different views on what that money needs to be spent towards rather than the people that are actually being affected by what that money goes towards, So when all of these people are like, oh, well, if we have X budget and all of these kids are struggling with X, Y, and Z in their classes, their meals, their transportation, well, instead of using that, we can just build this great new gym facility for this school or a new training facility or put more money towards athletics towards something,
I understand, but are you talking about just public schools?
Private, public, private, everything.
Why private? The government shouldn't be funding private.
And that's the issue. But that's my thing. I was like, all of these people are getting funded for things that should not be required. If it's a private institution, they should have their own funds. Or maybe I'm wrong. I was like, maybe I just have a different perspective on it. And I'm obviously open to hear anybody's ideas about that.
I wonder if that's a state thing. Like if some states
You have
do
a
help
very
private
naive
schools.
perspective on public.
Well, I would like for you to, I guess, enlighten
We
me.
need to come back to the room topic.
Yeah, I was like, I
Yeah, we're
mostly
losing people
joined
out
for
of
the
the
room
room.
topic of Charlie Kirk.
We're losing people out
I
of the
just,
lives, so we need to go back to the topic at hand, please.
yeah. Okay, so the reason why I originally had joined is because even I was watching even before the lady had her ideas about some things. And I think more so the problem with people feeling all of these angry or just these overwhelming emotions about his death. I think
Too
it more
vague. Too
so,
vague. Be specific. Be
I'm sorry.
specific. Be specific.
Here, let her finish and see if we can
Yeah, I
figure
was
out what.
like, at least just let me
Yeah,
get
just
what
be
I have to say
specific.
out.
It's too vague. It's too
Sir,
vague.
when you want to share your perspective, you can be as
Yep.
descriptive as you
I'm
want.
just,
Just let
Yeah.
me get what
Yeah, I
I
was
need to
want
say
you
out.
actually
to be, I just
Exactly.
want you
Stop
to be
dictating the way
as
she talks.
communicative as possible.
I was actually tracking her until
Go
my
ahead.
ADD got lost because someone else talked out.
But essentially, I think, and as someone from the same perspective, I think the reason why people are so uptight and the reason why people are so upset about the amount of coverage that his death has gotten is more so just because there are millions of people that pass, and I'm not justifying his death. I don't think he deserves to die. Everybody has the right to free speech. Everybody has the right to express their opinions however you do so. But to a degree, the things that he spoke, eventually it was a consequence of his actions. You talk about how you want to bring back public execution. You talk about how certain individuals don't deserve certain rights or qualities over certain people, and people react to that. So when you say these things in terms of the lessening the lives of children over whatever reason, it's unnecessary. And I think the amount of frustration revolves around the fact that he got all of this exposure for his beliefs, which he rightfully had the right to express. He had these beliefs, he had these ideas that he wanted to spread with the world, and he got murdered for it. Or unalived. I'm so sorry. I don't want to get banned on TikTok. But he had these views, and people are more so upset because yes, he was a figure, he was a debater, but there are many more issues that need to be addressed aside from just his death. We're not upset because he is being. Oh, I'm so sorry. We're not upset because he was killed, or that we're not upset because of the things that he said. It's more so the fact that that's all people talk about. What about the school shootings? What about all of the other people that had died that day? There was a sergeant who was defending a federal building and he passed away, and there was no coverage on that. I think the frustration just comes from the fact that there's not enough exposure on other situations, as well as there's not enough acknowledgement about the other people who are doing things to try to improve this country, that are trying to better the situations of their fellow neighbors and things like that, while we're worrying about this man necessarily.
Yeah, but whose fault is that though? Because it's because the school didn't get as much coverage as Charlie. That's not his fault.
And it's
And
absolutely
and
not
when
his
we
fault.
and when we say, like, what about the kids? What about the kids? Why hasn't anybody in a position of power stood up and made a choice to do something to end all of that? And it's not until something like this happens that we're like, what about this person? What about this person? What have we really done to protect our children? Absolutely nothing has been done in these schools to protect our kids. Maybe there's slightly a little bit more police presence, or there is police presence when there wasn't. But we've also seen school pew-pewings where, you know, police are hiding behind a wall and not running in until, 10 minutes later. And children are being unalived.
Sad because
It's horrible.
So as I said, I went to school in Nevada. In the school that I went to, we had a lot of pew pew warnings and lockdowns and all of these things. And they enforced a lot of police in our school when it started becoming more prevalent. But when the time came, you wouldn't find them. They weren't doing anything. They were hiding in the classrooms with the kids. They were hiding in the lunchrooms with these children that are fearing for their lives. You have people firsthand experience. I had a pew-pewer. He was jiggling on our door in our hallway. and all of these things, and not one thing is coming over the radio. It was essentially a game of hide and seek. So my thing is,
Most importantly, how did they get into the building with a pew pew?
He was a student.
Right.
And that's my point, and that's my frustration. There's no detection, there's no searches, there's nothing. They'd rather focus on the importance of having your phone in class over what you're carrying in your backpack.
Yeah.
Oh, well, my daughter's school is trying to make it where they can't have their phones inside school, and I told her
Yeah. My mom was the
person-
same way. My mom was like, until they decide to pay for your phone bill, they do not have the right to try to take anything from you, because they have bigger fish to fry. You're worried about a child checking a text from their mom, or a child checking their phone to see the time. But
Could I ask you a
You
question?
guys are so off base. It doesn't have. Oh my God.
Sorry, let
your point?
Peter speak.
It's still kind of on base because it's talking about something that people claim is divisive about Charlie. But to ask the question,
You're assuming that guns are okay. You're assuming that guns are okay.
No, I'm saying, I'm
inherently
saying
not okay.
are okay.
Can you just let Peter speak? Peter, if you're going to speak, can you just continue to speak rather than just reacting to what someone says?
Thank you. Thank you. The discussion is all about assuming that students or anybody else has guns that will shoot kids, and it's all about how they protect themselves. That's just ridiculous. Sorry, I'm out.
No, that's not what the point
That's
was.
not
I
what
think
we were
you're
talking
missing.
about.
Yeah, you're missing the point.
What an
The
eloquent
point is that there's nothing to protect children. Listen, the Second Amendment could be taken away, and guess what? Those weapons are
There is
still going to
something
be
to protect
all over the
children.
place.
So could I ask that girl from
So,
Nevada?
get rid of them.
You can't, and
You
that's a dumb
can't.
idea.
You can't. That's something that's been law of the land since this land was founded.
Get rid of them. Change the
We
law.
need to start looking at the mental
Why are
health problem
children dying?
in the United
Why
States,
are
and not the
children dying?
weapon that some of these people are choosing. Because guess what? There is
So
a
these
huge
crazy
mental
people
health.
have access to
Wait,
weapons.
we let you finish. We let you finish your thought. My problem is that it's the mental health that is creating these issues. People are choosing to go and act like this. It's not the pew pew. They might be choosing a pew pew, but some choose
It's the access to pew
some
pew.
choose their own hands to go and unalive people.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
That's
to a
the
degree,
issue.
How many?
I agree.
What countries in the world
They
have
don't
the
talk
same
about
murder
the
rate as we do?
They don't talk about the kids
What
that
countries?
go out they don't talk about kids that do it with knives or with their fists, because that's not spread around as much.
It's not a high demographic.
But
When you look at the percentage of, when you look at the mass deaths, or when you look at the mass or the number one reason for unaliving in America, it's from guns. And the problem is, to an degree, Tiny Mama, I agree to an extent. Yes, it is the people that are holding the pew-pews, but at the same time, the pew-pews are still the problem because they are so easily accessible.
okay, but a majority of the majority of the
accessibility.
deaths, it's not accessible. It's not that accessible. Go and buy one. Tell me how it goes.
Right. No, I mean, in my state, you need a permit that you can only own, a certain number. You need
And
a
I
full
understand that.
background check. You need a mental health check. You have to jump through
Yeah,
a
and
lot
who
of
does
hoops.
that? Who does that? Who does
And
that?
my thing is, but
Your
that's
local
just
law enforcement.
Yeah, in theory. In theory,
Mr.
they
Peter,
do.
In theory,
Mr.
they
Peter,
do.
I
No,
agree
that's
with
what they
you.
do.
No, to an extent, I do agree. I do agree, just because that's the legal channel to get it. We're not talking about all of the other possibilities, whether it's your brother has one and you want your brother, so now he gives it to you.
That's exactly the right point. So here's the thing. That's why they're missing the bigger picture. You're right. There are a lot of restrictions in getting guns. That, like, there could be more. But the thing is, that's why the statistics play out. They bear the truth. Most of these people get their guns from their fathers. They were raised on guns. They're white cis males. They had these school shootings happen in suburban white schools. The numbers play out. I have a list. This is not just anecdotal. I have a list of all the school shootings that happened from 1966 up till now. And all I have to do is a simple Google search on just the school and the date, and I'll get all the information for that school shooting. Usually, it's the first thing that comes up. I have videos on my profile if you want to look at them. And I made videos of each one. I'm starting from 1966 and I'm working my way down. It's usually about 3 or 4 shootings per year is the average. So it's like they're 2-minute videos. So trust me, they're not that long. Anyways, it's always the same basic grouping. And actually, that's why this gentleman who's in charge of the FBI has come down on a lot of scrutiny, because the first thing that they do when they teach you to look for the person who unalived this gentleman, they teach you that you look at you take your basic profile and you use it as the blueprint for how you're going to find the suspect. They were looking in the wrong place because Trump advised. Now we don't know this for sure. This is anecdotal, but we assume that Trump was telling Patel that he needed to look for a gay. He had a profile for something that he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And actually, the governor also mentioned this, that everybody was hoping that it was going to be a different type of demographic. They weren't looking right in front of them what it was. You know what I mean? They knew what the profile was, and they weren't. They didn't. It was not going to be a Republican. Not in this heavily red city, heavily red state, run by a red governor. There's no way it's exactly who it is, and that's what's so triggering about this. This is actually the reason why it's so popular right in the news. It's like, this is, in very many ways, this is someone who looks like me. How could this happen to me? How can violence happen to me? How can a violent thing with a? I love guns. Why is guns again the thing that's taking my people, my person, the person I was interested in? This is why it's so visceral, because they're seeing themselves on the TV, and violence is projected on them. This is not the way things go in America. In America, it's always somebody else.
I completely disagree, because when you look at this, right, I have heard, just in this live, and I'm getting there. I have heard it being debated in so many different lights, whether it's political, whether it's a race thing,
Because
whether it's a Second Amendment thing, when it's the laws, the weapon, like what he looks like. I mean, it is. Why can't it be as simple as the hate that people have and the mental anguish that people are going through, that
yeah,
we can't make sense of an
certainly,
unsensible act, whether it's something that, whether they
certainly,
liked his beliefs or
that's
not.
certainly
Why?
true.
Can I ask you a
And
question?
Tiny Mama, I would.
But they have access to
Oh,
guns.
Tina, am I allowed to ask you a question?
yeah, sure, absolutely.
How many female shooters have there been?
How many feet? Listen, I don't know. I don't know statistics like I know you want to look up statistics and spew them out. I don't know statistics, but I
It's
think
fine.
it's,
You don't have to know. You don't have to know the
yeah,
statistics. But why do you think,
Zero.
just like on your own opinion, why do you think that there's not that many women that do these things?
a lot of women that
There's
do
zero.
things inside. I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I'm letting you speak.
Peter, you're just shouting
What?
across people. If you're going to speak, speak. Don't just shout across people like you're in the audience. You're on the panel to speak.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If we're seeing statistically, or the point that you're getting at is statistically it's more men, right? Then can you at least try to look at it at an angle where, in a society where men are you know taught a lot of times to suppress their feelings, and it's not manly to seek mental health,
I agree with you.
mental health support.
100%. You're right.
So then could that contribute as to why, the quote unquote meaning of a man would be, not to seek the support and help that they need when they're facing, and let's be serious. A man is also taught that they're the men. They're supposed to be the providers. They're supposed to be the protectors. So there's a lot of weight on men's shoulders in society. And so,
You're absolutely
when
right.
women can handle, stress in different ways, we don't know what breaking point men go to or what support they do or don't have because they're not considered manly. I'm not saying this, but some people feel that they're not considered manly if they don't speak their feelings through.
I don't disagree with anything you just said. In fact, it was beautiful because that's exactly right. The men deal with mental illness differently than women do. Absolutely. And the way that they act and the way that they position themselves, you're 100% right.
And it's sad because
and it is very sad.
men should not feel like they need to suppress their feelings and their stress
But women do.
to a breaking point.
But you agree that women do have deal with mental illness. You agree, right?
I'm sorry.
You
Women,
do agree
yeah,
that that women
absolutely.
deal with mental illness and not always in the best ways. They lash out in their own ways as well. And then
Absolutely.
we do know that women also own guns. Women own guns at I think it's like 33 to 44% against men. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
it's just like and they have some type of protective weapon or some type of or mace or something that they use because women are victims of crime at way higher rates than men are. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know a lot about those things. So to put everything on mental illness is heavy-handed. The truth is that Australia and other countries have eliminated firearms from their country because they had maybe one mass shooting, and the numbers have dropped completely off the boards. And then another statistic that's really interesting, and I know that like stats, and like whatever, but they do speak to it. They speak to the nature and the way that the public sees things. Do you know that there's one demographic of school that has never had a school pupil?
What demographic?
Black universities have
Yes.
never had. They've never had a one. You know why that's the case?
I don't.
So now, okay, and this is speculative on my part. So, but I think that what it is that in the African American household, the predominance of having guns as part of the culture is not necessarily the same that we think about it. I'm not saying black people don't own guns; they just use them differently. It's not a gun culture. It's not like this. Like I raised my kid and like here's all the different kinds of guns that I have, and I put them on my wall, and I have like the animals that I killed on my thing. There's a culture of using weapons, and then on top of that, they it just proves another point because we know that these school shootings or PPUs they happen. It's not coincidental which schools these kids go to or these young people go to. They know the school. They have a connection to the place where they went. It's not like a random. It's very rarely
Absolutely.
random.
And I don't mean to
let me
cut you
tell you.
off.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, really quick.
No,
And I don't
go
mean
for
to
it.
cut you off, but that is absolutely what it is. I was like, when you look at these schools, the school that I went to in Nevada, the person who decided to have a pew pew lockdown and all of these things, he knew the layout. It was playing hide and seek with these people. It was a game. So I think the frustration is more so about not necessarily, I think it's just the accessibility. I think just to kind of tie everything back into the conversation about Mr. Kirk, I think the accessibility is the biggest issue. We can talk about mental health all we want, yes, but at the end of the day, mental health has been here, it will be here, it will always be here, and I think it gets to a point, well, at what point are we going to stop using mental health as the excuse for these heinous crimes, you know?
Well, I think mental health is a lot of the catalyst, and I think that symptom. Well, no, I think that people, carrying these acts out are clearly, I mean, nobody in their right mind, is going to, on a Monday morning, choose to do this. There is a factor of mental health that plays into it. Now, whichever weapon they choose, which would go into your point about accessibility, that doesn't tell me that they shouldn't be allowed. It tells me that there needs to be better protocols put in place.
Absolutely. There
Whether
definitely needs to be
whether it
like,
yeah, whether it be a registration or a roster of what household owns what pew pew and how many, and there be a periodic check to make sure that there is proper uh, security for it, proper placing, whether it be a safe or what. I mean, I think that there definitely needs to be a refine to the
yes.
laws for sure. I can tell you one thing. If I
Hey,
was now my state is not a carry state, but I can tell you one thing, that if I was, or I'll put it this way, if my child were to be in a store and someone who is not in their right mind goes and tries to wreak havoc on that store, and someone who isn't, and we're in a state where it is okay to carry, I would thank God that whoever was carrying was able to step in and potentially save hundreds of lives just in that store,
can I
save my
can I
child's
give a
life.
perspective?
Would
Can
you
I give
feel?
a perspective?
Oh yeah, please. Sorry.
So I lived in Europe for 16 years, and I married a woman from another country, from Britain. I lived in Germany and I lived in Italy. And this gun problem wasn't a problem at all, zero in any of those places. And if it was a problem, they dealt with it immediately and eliminated the problem. And we cannot do that here in the US.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. And I say that because I'm so glad that you have experience out of the country in terms of this situation. My mom lives and works out of the country 6 months out of the year. So whether it's in the UK, whether it's in South Africa, Greece, Italy, all of these places, you don't see as much, even if there
None.
is issues,
You don't see nothing. You
you
don't
don't
see
see anything
anything.
actually. Even when I was there, you got threats about all of these things, but it was never about guns. It was never about mass violence on these types of situations. And I really think, once again, it all ties back. We talk about this from sunrise to sunset. America has a gun problem, whether we want to address it or not. The whole reason, and I think that's as well as the frustration with Mr. Kirk. So billions and billions of people can get killed by guns every single year, and not a word is said, just thoughts and prayers. But when this man gets killed, now it's time to call for all of these things. Now it's time to call for change, and now it's time to call for all of these. Why was that never? And I understand from both sides. I was like, my grandmother's very, very hard MAGA. She is very supportive of everything that is going on in this country currently. I prefer to have a neutral stance in my beliefs about it. I'd rather look at the facts and personal experience and all of these things rather than just jump from one side to another. But the frustration comes from, how many more deaths do we have to live through until something actually gets done? And I'm not necessarily talking about whether it's getting rid of guns completely, mental health screening, just the overall process of actually doing something about it. When is that
Hey,
going to happen?
hey, most countries in the world have figured this out, and we haven't. We just keep killing our children and everyone else who can have access to a gun.
The number one country where in gun deaths is Mexico, and and then we're the second. Just last year, they had 24, 22, something like that, 22,000 deaths attributed to gun violence, and we had 14, 15, something like that. And it's not surprising that the biggest dealer of guns or pew pew, sorry, is the United States. We actually flood Mexico with guns through our industry, and it's one of our biggest industries here that we make money off of. So we have them here, and then we have them there, and that's why Mexico has such a big problem with them. They trade with us. We get the fentanyl, and they get the guns.
Where my kids
Absolutely.
where my kids went to school in Italy as preteens, as schoolers, there was no worry about guns and death. There was no of all the stuff we go to today. It was just a great preschool experience for them.
And I want to touch up on what somebody said in the comments, because Maggie said, which is very true, someone from the UK posted that you can run from a knife, but you can't run from a gun. And that's the issue. Regardless, we can tie this all back, but at the end of the day, this man was still killed with a pew pew. Pew pews are still a very big problem in this country. So I think as a young adult who is attending a university that is very, I'm also in the deep south. Let me also put that into perspective. When this whole situation happened with Mr. Kirk, I think the problem, we can talk about mental illness, yes, but I think hatred is the biggest mental illness that everybody needs to address in regards to this situation. People wanted to point sides saying, oh, well, it was the lefts that did this, or it was the rights that did this. It doesn't matter what political side you're on. Hatred is hatred at the end of the day. So my thing is, why, as many things that I did not agree with about Charlie Kirk, there were a lot of things that he said that I do not find to be the slightest of accurate, to my opinion. But, well, I'm saying just the things that he stood on, I don't necessarily agree with. But I think
yeah.
No, go ahead.
Sorry about the dog.
No, you're okay. But I think, I was like, before anything else, I think the situation is just I'd rather see actual change rather than continuous finger pointing. And I think that's my issue. Everybody can talk about what the left does, what the right does, what anybody does. But at the end of the day, arguing about who's at fault for something that's inevitable in this country is not going to be the problem for it. The matter is coming together and trying to find a solution as one, as
but you're talking about political solutions, and at the moment there is no hope for positive solutions for this.
So
and I agree with you.
The firearm that was used is the same firearm that is allowed for hunting in every state.
Yeah.
So
that's right. My dad had that same weapon.
Yeah, the 30-06.
So did my grandfather.
I grew up with firearms. I mean, I'm a guy that struggles with mental health. Not trying to make it seem like, oh well, I'm okay, so we should all be. Not trying to go there. But like the point that I'm getting at by saying, like, so many of the ones that we keep pointing at, so few of the shootings are actually with guns that are actually modified or things that are actually truly able to be restricted. A lot of people will use multiple magazines in a pistol. So I'm in Indiana, and one of the ones that was used was a AR-15 with a regular magazine, but ironically, he was stopped with a pistol by a dude that actually had crazy distance. If I show you on a picture what it is, it's like, I mean, I can pull security forces off base and they can't make that shot.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing too, kind of back to the finger pointing situation. They want to say, oh, well, X person did this, X person, regardless, whoever this man was that decided to commit this unaliving was a very skilled individual. You know, you can't I live like you, Colin, I live in a very, or I don't know necessarily if it's the same for you, but I live in a very prominent pew pew state where people are proud to own their pew pews and to show, kind of not necessarily show them, but let it be known, like, I am a proud pew pew owner, and if you have a problem with that, then you can find out why I own it.
I still have a question for you that I've been holding on to, by the way.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I wanted you to continue. It's okay. I don't want you to lose traction.
Oh, okay. No, but what I was saying is that,
Would you agree, though, that practice makes perfect?
yes, absolutely.
He doesn't have to be a military man. He didn't have to have any military training. Practice makes perfect. If you don't know anything about basketball and you want to learn about it, you have to spend the time.
No, absolutely.
So actually,
Whoever
in this,
because it's not been proven yet, it's all alleged, right? Did a one-shot wonder.
Yeah.
So technically speaking, in this particular situation, sorry, go ahead.
You have to listen to the experts. I've been listening to a lot of experts, a lot of gun experts, a lot of ex-snipers who've been speaking about this 4-inch target. And also, don't forget the distance between the the 2 points wasn't that really far in terms of sniping. So I don't know why people are saying this is some specialist or some whatever. You know what I mean? Practice makes perfect.
Host, just a heads up, you sound very muffled and far away.
Thank you. I was gonna say.
Yeah, you sound. It's very hard to hear you. I don't know if you want to try to adjust things.
Oh yeah, maybe it's my case I've got on my phone. Hold on one sec.
Yeah, I was gonna say I accidentally cut you off because I couldn't even hear if you were talking.
Yeah, it's got some shitty case. What's it like? What's it like?
So what was his argument? His argument was saying that you don't need to be a professional.
No, it's not an argument. It's just a point. I'm not making an argument. It's just a point. You don't need to be a professional to make the type of shot that was taken from the distance, but also practice makes perfect.
I think to a degree, yes, you don't have to be a professional, but you have to understand, like you said, practice makes perfect. The average American, at least, and I'm speaking just for the people that are around me, yes, they are pew pew holders, but realistically, nobody's going to make that shot. At least the people that I know that are in my area, nobody realistically is going to make that shot, unless the only people that I would hold accountable to be able to make something of that caliber are the hunters and the people that do this type of stuff necessarily, whether it's for hobby, whether it's their job, whatever it is, they have to have some type of acknowledgement. And they have to have some type of, what's the word that we're looking for? But they have to have a knowledge. They have to have a genuine understanding of the gun that they're using and the proximity, like you said. You can't.
I've seen videos of hunters talk. I mean, this is like half a day after it happened, and I've been watching a lot of hunters speak on this. Before all the facts came out, and I've been also listening to a lot of experts, a lot of army experts, and a lot of snipers speak on the shot that was taken, and the fact that it was a one-shot wonder, and the fact that the distance was a complete line of sight, and obviously the weapon that was alleged to have been used. It wasn't no really big specialist thing that you would think. I think we were all getting caught up in this whole,
Host,
sniper thing.
and I don't mean to cut you off, Host. I was like, I don't know if you were here for that conversation, but a lot of us agreed it's a very common pew pew. Colin said that he has people. I don't know. You said it was your father, Colin. I don't know.
I didn't say my father, but I did say it is used a lot in hunting.
Yeah.
My uncle has like freaking 10 of them.
Yeah, and then Mr. Peter also said that he knew somebody that owned it as well. So we're not saying that necessarily that you have to be skilled, but you do have to know what you're doing. And I did want to address to some people, because I know there were some people kind of always having their things in the comments.
Before you continue, sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're okay.
This live is an over 18 live. I set it as an over 18 so we can just openly speak. Stop.
Okay. Beautiful.
Stop using the word pew pew. Just speak your speak.
Beautiful. Okay.
Threats.
God, I didn't know that was a thing.
No, seriously, I thought it was that's just the filter that TikTok had overall.
If you set your live for 18s and over, you get put in a certain box. Obviously, your life just won't go out to the FYP, yeah?
Yeah.
But what it will allow you to do, it won't allow you to get bananas, because obviously, if people start making threats and start using certain words, you will get bananas. But this is an over 18 live, so don't worry about what you say. Just don't threaten anyone, or don't say shoot the president.
I'm literally so upset right now because the people have been making these lives and then keep saying I have to use these words all the time, and I didn't understand if it was just the TikTok or.
Yeah,
but now I'm.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
because there is a huge demographic on the FYP that are under 18 that can view your live if you don't check that button. But I decided tonight I was going to check that 18 plus button to see what happened. And effectively, it changed my live a little bit, but not enough for me to be worried about it. So I just want everyone to be a bit freer and just speak to speak.
Well, you know what? You get hearts for that. I'm going to click until my fingers bleed.
Yeah, I'll
And
follow you
I
on
just
that
want
one.
to I just want to put a Jenga on what the host said, because when he was talking about the professionals, stop! I can actually hear you finger punching the screen.
My bad.
I saw a professional saying that, you know, it is very unlikely that the area in which he shot was actually the area he was aiming for.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a chance that he was hit there.
He was aiming
So
for
I just want to throw that in there, because
I had a
skilled or not, that's a really
Well, sorry for jumping back in, but two
no, go for
snipers,
it.
two snipers said that when they and if you know about it, just sort of jump in. They have a 4-inch window of where they aim for, and what they were saying is the sniper wasn't aiming for the head or the neck, because the head and the neck, in terms of what they have to aim for, is too much of a small area. They have to aim for the lower mass of the body. So what some of the snipers were saying is that obviously that the sniper didn't get into. Okay, we didn't know what he was aiming for, but what the snipers were saying is that he wasn't aiming for the neck, because the neck is literally 2 inches or 3 inches wide. He was aiming for the mass of the body, and it just so happens maybe it went up. But
Yeah,
like
that's
wind
the same
and
video I'm talking about. Yep.
right, okay.
But even then, if anybody in here, I was like, if you go to the gun range and you go and you shoot and all of these things, at least I've had people say headshots are a very hard shot. So naturally, when you're at the range, yes, you're going to try to get that lucky bullseye and whatnot, but you predominantly try to aim for the body because it's more of a mass to take up. So I remember I saw a comment, Peter, or Mr. Peter, you had said something about it, and I completely agree with you. I don't think necessarily he was aiming for the neck. I think it could have been a shot to the heart that he was potentially trying to go for, you know?
Has the autopsy results been made public?
I doubt it. It's too high profile.
Really?
It is.
Is that what they do? If it's too high
Oh,
profile.
to a degree, certain high-profile cases, they don't release until...
Sarah, you're echoing. I'm sorry, my love, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
you have to drop down and come back up again.
And Sarah, I don't know if we unmuted at the same time. Was there something that you wanted to say? I didn't mean to cut you off if you were trying to say something.
Yeah, Sarah's echoing though.
Oh, my mic was off. I just turned it back on.
Okay.
Is it still echoing?
No, you're okay.
Okay. I was just going to say that I did see a video from an ex-military officer who was touching on that. And he stated that the shot actually wasn't to the neck. The neck was the exit wound. It actually probably hit his shoulder or like upper kind of like arm area and that exited out from there. So it wasn't like a neck shot.
I believe that is correct.
That is possible. So I'll speak from a basic training perspective because again, to those who don't know, I'm a chaplain. So my job is like spiritual and emotional support, and sometimes kids need it while they're on downrange. The amount of stories, if I could tell y'all.
Oh, I believe it.
So, in the situation, a lot of kids that get freaked out by the drill sergeant ends up going a few inches up right or up left from all the hundreds of thousands of shots I've seen. So it wouldn't surprise me if the dude, in moments of nervousness or freak out, did go up or up left, up right. So that is pro argument for him hitting in the shoulder or the neck. I personally don't know if it hit the shoulder and went out the neck, but I do have a personal video, just so I kind of never forget. And it's like authentic front and center of what happened to Charlie. And I kind of go frame by frame. And at the moment, unless I need like a better camera or something, I don't see anything that hit his shoulder.
Yeah, same
Um,
here.
So I'm kind of like, I mean, I'm kind of indifferent to it on that particular part. I think it's semantics, and we can talk about it. But yeah, it's definitely, the dude was definitely aiming for the heart.
I've watched that video in slow mo, and I've gone backwards and forwards to actually see if there's any entry or whatever. And the shirt fluffs up quite a lot. And some of the experts were saying that Charlie was wearing a vest, and the bullet hit the vest and ricocheted upwards. That's what one expert had said, because the way the shirt got, if you're a geek and you want to watch the video and you do a slow mo on it just to see how things are, you would see the shirt fluffing up quite high. And one of the experts said that possibly the bullet hit the vest that he was wearing and ricocheted upwards, and the exit wound was through his neck.
I thought he was wearing like a medium-sized Freedom shirt. Wouldn't show it.
I have a question for kind of everybody, host including you as well, the panel, definitely. So aside from all of this talk about where the bullet went and all of these things and XYZ, from a non-political perspective, as a community, America is a community, no matter what, I was like, we're all together under one nation. What do we need to do as people to stop this, you know? Because they say it starts in the home, and then it starts in the communities, all of these things. What can we do as neighbors of each other to try to prevent these things, you know?
Okay, I'm gonna jump in on that from a humanitarian perspective, right? I didn't care for Charlie. I didn't care for Charlie's belief. I didn't care for Charlie's rhetoric. What I did care about is the fact that he was taken off the planet and silenced. I would have preferred him to have been left alone and just go, right, Charlie's appearing over there, Charlie's appearing there next week. I can then say to myself, I know what he's about. I know what the stuff that he's spewing. The fact, if in my day, if you wanted to silence someone, we only had the radio and the TV. If something came on the TV or radio you didn't like, you turn the volume down or you change the channel. The fact that in this modern day and age, political violence seems to be the thing right now is shameful. I absolutely did not wish and would not wish death on anyone because of their viewpoints, right? Like I said, I didn't like half the stuff he was spewing, but at the end of the day, when I saw him online and I saw him on social media, I turned him off. I did the same thing with Trump. I did the same thing with a lot of people. But the fact that you couldn't actually just go, you know what? Why didn't you just silence him by turning him off? What you had was Charlie Kirk that important as a public speaker? You had to take him out.
Absolutely, I think that is
Charlie
a great
Kirk that
point.
important? He wasn't in my mind.
Great point.
Sorry, let me finish. Charlie Kirk wasn't that important to me, regardless if he went against something that he said that I didn't like, or trans this or black this or religious this, whatever. It wasn't that important. That's what needs to stop. But I do also want to state here and now that anyone that publicly speaks in the way that Charlie did, you really do need to take responsibility for what you do. He should have had first responsibility to his family. Knowing what he did and what he does, he's got 2 daughters and a wife. Bro, you have a first responsibility to your family. Did you have that conversation with your children and your wife separately to say, oh, I potentially might be harmed in the stuff that I do? I doubt he had that conversation with his daughters. He probably had a 3 a.m. in bed conversation with his wife, potentially about it nearly happening every single day he goes out. That's a responsibility. So all the Charlie Kirk 2.0s and 3.0s that want to step up to the plate and replace him, you really do need to be careful about some of the stuff that you spew, because there are people out there that are going to be highly offended. And yes, mental health does play into it. That's all I want to say on that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think to a degree, as a people, we need to stop idolizing people, period. Regardless of who it is, whether it was Charlie Kirk, whether it was Trump, whether it's the Pope, whoever it is, I think we need to stop idolizing people. And I say that I grew up Christian. And one of the biggest no-nos you could do in a Christian household is to have an idol. Idols are not, they're not okay. And I kind of lived my life about that in a certain degree. So I may agree with certain things. I may follow certain influencers and celebrities to an extent, but I will never idolize them. So I think the frustration for some, not all, because I know everybody has different perspectives on things, is that they tried to make his life as if he died as a martyr, you know? And I think that is also can be played as a very harmful rhetoric, because when you use the word martyr, you're using as if he lived through Jesus or as he lived for Christianity. His message was not anything that was said in the Bible. He used the Bible as an agenda. He used the Bible basically as leverage to get the people that he needed to get and to be able to fill that void, you know? And I say
Just by the definition of being a martyr, it doesn't always have to be your life being taken for your religious beliefs.
No, absolutely.
It can just be your beliefs. Yeah. Why couldn't we just turn him off? Oh my God, what did Charlie say today? I'll turn that off, turn that down.
And that's my frustration too. As a community, if you don't like it so much, or if whoever it was, for those who also think it was a very high-end assassination coming from higher powers within this country, why not just shadow ban him?
Did the campus did the campus have a conversation with someone like Charlie that potentially he could be attracting a negative element to that space?
Well, I don't know if you've seen it, and I don't.
I have something to add to that.
Well,
Isn't there a
I think they know that going into it.
Right.
You would imagine that they know that going into it, because his crowd was divided, right? There were people there because they support him, and then there were people there that didn't support him and had the opportunity to go up and debate him and possibly learn something or nothing or prove him wrong. You know, if I can, I just want to quickly answer your question, because, you know, I think with the way people are so divided, and you had said this earlier, you know, we always want something to blame, you know, some reasoning on something that just does not seem, or an act that does not seem reasonable. The one thing that I do that he was doing, whether I agreed with everything he was saying or not, he was reaching our youth. And I'm not talking, you know, elementary school kids. I'm talking people, you know, college-aged kids who are in a very pivotal time in their life that can rationalize and reason and can bring intelligence to the conversation. But that are also
take anything that you say to heart.
Right. But
That's how Hitler came to power.
they are the future. And so when you talk to, you know, older adults who are so like saturated in their, you know, Dem versus Republican, we're never going to change each other's minds. And it's always going to be something, politics is always going to be something that keeps us divided.
Absolutely.
Until we all realize that we are not changing things unless we come together and use our voices. That freedom of speech that we talk about, if we're not using it as a united front, it's never going to be us against them.
Was
It's us
Tyler?
against
Was
each other
Tyler?
because we're divided.
Was Tyler? And I'm not saying he's a shooter because he's still the alleged shooter. Was he a student at that campus?
For 1 year.
Right.
For 1 year, he got a presidential scholarship. He went for a semester and then dropped out.
So basically, it could have been any person.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Any person that had any thoughts about Charlie, knowing that Charlie was going to go to that campus, could have thought the same way, right or wrong.
You're absolutely correct.
Nearly how many thousands of people, or let's say hundreds of people that were in that crowd that could have been targeted, but one person was targeted.
Yeah.
Shocking. Absolutely
Can I-
shocking.
Can I add something to?
Well, everybody has the same opportunity that Charlie has,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Can I speak
maybe-
for a second? Can I speak for a second?
Yes, go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah.
I
like to piggyback on what she was saying, that he was reaching the youth. Yeah, he was reaching the youth, but he was taking what he was doing. He was masterful at it. He would take statistics, he would twist them around, not give you the whole picture, and skew it towards a certain demographics in the country, which a lot of kids that are young are impressionable, and they're not going to take time to really do the research. They're going to take them at face value. I could tell by people on Facebook spewing some of the same stuff he was saying, thinking it's fact, and then when you break it down, you show them how he took statistics and he kind of manipulated them and targeted people with it. So I think he reached the youth, but he reached them in a negative way. And Hitler had the same kind of magnetism that people would listen to him, even though there was some BS that he was spitting out of his mouth. I don't think the guy should have been unalived. I think he should have been proven wrong, and people should have challenged him and used their voices like he was using his. But at the same time, no way can you act as though this guy was somehow teaching anybody anything.
Well,
Exactly.
let me ask you this.
And you know what? And that's the greatest
if he
thing
went
about
into a crowd of adults, 40 plus, 50 plus, do you think that he'd be able to have the voice that he had? Absolutely not. And to be honest with you, there are many very, very intelligent college-aged kids who went up there and debated him and had very valid arguments. And he gave them that credit, and he also put his idea and his spin on things. But that's because we gave him that right, and we all have that right. If you want it, you can start a podcast tomorrow. You could start it in 5 minutes if you want.
Yeah, but I wouldn't start it and target certain groups in order to demean or belittle them. I mean, that's just not my character. Even though I would probably get a lot of attention and I probably would make money on it, but I couldn't live myself doing that.
Did he target them, or did they invite him?
He targeted them.
He targeted.
So was his podcast only available to college-age kids?
Do you know that he supports this organization that makes children's books? And what they do, they're like cartoons. You can find it on the internet, and it's a conservative retelling of history, and it's targeted at little kids because you have to read it to the kids. And they talk about how slavery wasn't that bad, and actually slavery, everybody had slaves back in the day, and that was just a normal thing. And like to put all the grief on Americans is completely unreasonable. And it just and the Indians actually they loved having us there.
Is that actually what it says? Like it actually says that.
You can watch the cartoons.
Guys,
It doesn't say that slavery was not that bad. It does.
I'm really sorry. I'm gonna have to drop you down because every time you open your mic up, it gets incredible echo. Plus, I need to rotate. I'm not saying you're the reason why I need to rotate more new voices, but people are asking me in the chat they want to come up. So if one of the bottom 4 people that have been on the panel for a long time can volunteer to drop down, I can bring some new voices to the chat.
I'll volunteer, and I appreciate for you inviting me up and giving me a voice. And this is the first time I've spoke about Charlie publicly. I'm not into not into politics, believe it or not. I don't like to discuss it typically because it's never respectable, a
Did you
respectable
believe? Did you
conversation.
believe? Did you believe some of the stuff he was saying?
Um, I think that I think that, so there are things that I did not agree with. And then I do believe that there are things that he spoke about that, you know,
Like
to
what, for
me.
instance?
I mean, there's a lot of people out there misquoting him right now,
Yeah.
especially about the whole gun
So what did?
situation.
So what did you agree with, or what did you disagree with? That?
Um, so just because I was just speaking about the gun situation, I agree with him about the gun situation, and that, if we can, again, he's been misquoted a lot out there, because what he was saying is, if we can protect, our
Oh
banks,
my
if we
God,
can
can I
protect.
speak, please? Tiny, you represent all the people that followed that man to his death, to his unaliving.
Believe it
You
or not,
represent.
I didn't
Tiny,
really know
Tiny, be
about
quiet for a
him.
second. I listen.
Well,
So
I
I
just
can
want to
tell you.
correct you because I
I'm not
didn't
even. I
follow.
don't need you to correct me because you're not going to correct me on facts. I need you to shut up and listen
Fact
for a
is, I
second.
did not follow him.
I need you to be.
Okay, I want to add on to that.
Rude. I just want to let everybody know, like I said, I don't do
Nice.
politics. I did
No,
not follow him prior to this, to be honest with you. I only had done my like hardcore deep digging because of how emotional people got regarding the death. And I wanted to understand why people were celebrating and why people were heartbroken.
and I
Um,
understand, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to
Give
add,
me
you have the right
three,
to agree and disagree with whatever you believe.
naturals
And
person was in
Miss
America before white people.
and Miss Veronica, I'm so sorry, but if you're talking, I was in the middle of a point. Um, no, you have every right to believe and to disagree with everything that you are entitled to. As someone who's been on this panel with you long enough, I understand the perspective that you come from. I did not agree with Mr. Kirk at all. But I will say the things that I did not agree with, to an extent, I'm glad those conversations got brought up, because whether we liked it or not, it still brought exposure to the conversation, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
No, I can respect that. And I like when people don't agree because it gives perspective.
yeah.
I would
And
never, discredit anyone's beliefs or their thoughts or, their feelings just because they don't align with mine. I like perspective, and there could be things that I'm missing that you could point out to me.
I'm so
So
glad
I
that you
welcome it.
addressed that, because I
It's
think
just
that's the point of the panel. The
Guys,
panel is to,
guys, if you're down in the audience in the comments and you want to come up into the panel, please respect how I run my rooms. Yeah, I don't allow people just to bounce into the panel and start attacking and whatever. Have a debate, go backwards and forwards, but I'm not going to be dealing with anyone having any attacking or telling people to shut up and swearing and whatever. Yes, it's an 18 plus live, right? But I'm not going to stand for that kind of behaviour. I have all my lives are I try to have them very, very, very balanced. Please,
yeah.
let's be adults.
I think that was also the point that I was coming to. I think regardless, I think the point of a panel is to have different opinions, and the point is to come here open-minded. So rather than attacking one another, if anything, ask each other questions, have those conversations, but do it in a respectful manner to where everybody can learn something from it, you know?
What I have a difficult time understanding is, how can a tree produce good fruit and bad fruit? Like the young lady said, I agree with some of the stuff he said, but some of the stuff I didn't. Okay, how do you justify in your head? Oh, he said this racist stuff here, but I'm just going to disregard that, and I'm just going to take this part from him, and I like this part. To me, if a tree produces good fruit, it's going to produce good fruit. If it's producing bad fruit, the whole tree is tainted to me.
Well, and I understand that perspective.
Before Charlie died, sorry for cutting back in again, yeah? Before Charlie died, Charlie was 10x for me, right? I didn't follow him, didn't know him, didn't care about him. I just thought, oh my God, that guy again, switch off. Charlie is now 100x. Since 2 days ago, or whenever it was, Charlie has become 100x.
And what's 100x? What's that? I'm not familiar with that term.
He's been 100 times jettisoned out there. I can't scroll through any social media app or feed without seeing Charlie now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I please ask people why you have the opportunity to understand who he was and what he was about. And don't get me wrong, I don't support him. I'm just saying we no longer see the little sound bites that can be taken out of context. We now have the opportunity to see everything about this man. He no longer exists, but at least we can make up in our minds what he was about and stop using this little sound bites thing. If he says something about black pilots or about black women or about gays or whatever, look at the whole context. Look at the whole context and have a conversation about it. Don't come into my lives with your little piece of what you've heard and that's all you want to understand, because I want to have an adult conversation. I don't want attacking. I want us to have a conversation like we're around a dinner table. That's what I want. Thank you.
Yeah, and Mr. Kelly, I understand the perspective that you're coming from, but kind of to backtrack on that tree, about the tree and the good fruits and bad fruits. When you look at nature, some of the most, you could have an apple tree. It could give you 24 of the beautifulest apples to ever exist, and then there could still be a bad apple in that batch, you know?
Yeah, but it's not going to be poison.
Well, that's like saying, Love Letter is a great mom, but, at night she drinks a few glasses of wine and, puts herself to bed. Does that mean that she's a bad mom just because she might have a bad habit?
I would probably be a bad dad because I do the same damn thing. So.
And I think that's the
you know
point.
what I'm saying? It's go ahead, Love Letter.
No, I'm sorry, but I
call
think
you that
that's
because
the
I'm
point.
assuming.
You're okay. I'm not a mom. I was like, but I am a college student, and I think that more so is the bottom line of it. I think I, host as well as you, I did not agree with Mr. Kirk and what he preached, but it's also because I came to it from the perspective of, I'm not going to look at this little piece. I'm going to go and watch that entire interview. I'm not going to look at this little thing that he did on Jubilee and take that as his word. I'm going to watch the whole Jubilee video. I'm going to watch everything. I'm not going to read it in the context that it was put. I'm going to read it as the context is what it is. And for people to say, oh, he wasn't this, he wasn't that. Charlie was a lot of things. I don't know him personally. I'm not going to speak on him as if I know him from personal experience. But off of the things that I have watched to the fullest extent that someone can watch something, he still stood for things that were not beneficial to the country overall. And I say that because he still spewed things about hatred towards certain demographics.
He spewed hate about a lot of things.
And I think that's my problem.
He might have spewed positivity about some things, but he can no longer do that.
Yeah.
Educate
and I think his death
about what he was and speak on what he was. People keep speaking on as if this guy is alive. He's not. We can't spew any more hate. Let's just look at him and for what he was.
For what it was, right.
And the narrative, but the narrative that he somehow is a free speech proponent, that's the biggest lie that's out there. Because we know for facts that at the schools that he went to, the schools allowed him to be on the site because you want people to challenge your narrative. And when you're in college, that's when you learn. People are going to challenge your narrative, and it's okay to have different opinions on campus. They want to encourage debate. But you know what Charlie would do? If a teacher or someone on that worked for the staffs there would say something negative about him and not want their students to listen, or they disputed the things that he said, he would put those teachers on a list.
And he had a hit list.
He had a hit list, and he put their information, the phone numbers of the bosses or whatever particular information he put out there. And so he didn't do anything, but very much the people who liked Charlie Kirk They would go and then they would bombard the those numbers, trying to get those people fired. There's a teacher who posted online, well, after he passed, said the same thing. Look, I don't want people to get this to get murdered this way. But at the same time, he tried to get me fired from my job. They were going to let me go because students were calling in and hate bombing her, and
Yeah.
it was like people were getting discriminated against because he had to shut them down. Because if he really cared about freedom of speech, he wouldn't be telling to stop people from doing it. Also, at that actual event in Iowa, somebody that's very popular here online, I don't know his last name, but his name is Parker. He was there. He was right at the event. He tries to go and talk to. There's video of him trying to talk to him, but he refuses to talk to him because he's an actual debater. He does not actually. Many times, real debaters would go and try to challenge him at the events, but he's there to film things that make him look good. He doesn't actually want to debate. He
Yeah,
had a
really
nerve.
quick. I just want to leave it this.
Has anyone seen
Sorry,
Dean?
love letter. Can I just go real fast because I actually want to jump down so I can let other people come up and talk. I was actually supposed to jump down 10 minutes ago.
Has anyone ever seen Dean debate Charlie?
Yes.
Yes.
We have debated.
No,
just
but what
wanna
I was
leave
going to
everybody
say.
And
with
Dean
this.
cried for him.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to leave everybody with this, right? Those who hated him, I feel like everybody is valid in the way they felt towards him, right? We're all entitled to that. The problem that I've seen across social media is the hatred being displayed for somebody that they said was hateful. And I don't think that anybody who truly hates him, and this goes for the comments that I've seen throughout this entire live, are the hateful things that people have said because he was, taken out. It doesn't make you look any better, and it doesn't. It in values. It takes the value away from the point of trying to make him look like a hateful person by saying the hateful things because he's no longer here. Like Ho said,
That's like saying that if someone breaks into your house and they threaten to kill you and then you murder them, that it was in self-defense. It's like the people who were victims of Charlie Kirk, they're literally just victims. They're traumatized from all the BS that came out of his mouth, and now they're not allowed to have free speech. Now they're not allowed to be relieved that they don't have to deal with that.
No, but in what capacity were they dealing with it, right? Because like
I told you there was a hit
said-
list.
Well, like
Okay, I can
Alexander
read that.
said,
I can read the details of the
Alexander-
hit list for you if you want.
didn't like him and didn't support him and didn't agree with him, so he didn't watch him. He didn't give him a platform in his world. Now, the people who agree and disagree, the only reason why he was in the position that he was in is because people who loved and hated him gave him that platform. When you have someone hateful in your chat, right, in a live, what do? You don't sit there and argue with them in the chat. You block them. You cut them off.
Not me.
Well, you know the point that I'm trying to make, though, right? You starve the beast. And so if you didn't like what he was saying, then you eliminate his words from your world.
Listen,
and you hope
stop right
that
there.
you could also counteract
there.
it, start your own plan.
I'd rather, if I don't like you, hear what you have to say. This is my whole point about the whole Charlie Kirk thing. I don't care about anything else, right? If you didn't like what he said, you didn't need to take him out. Just put him in a box, and that's Charlie Kirk over there. Now I can't hear what Charlie Kirk's about. Now I can't hear what Charlie Kirk was spewing.
Right. You don't allow him to be a mouthpiece in your life. You just don't listen. Guess what? If I don't like country music, I'm not turning country music on my radio.
If I may,
I'd like to add to this, just to kind of point out there's a double hypocrisy on both sides. Because I'll agree on every inch of the platform that Charlie Kirk has more negatives than he does as a positive person. The attributes are just undeniable.
Yeah,
But
they
to sit here and say that people with bad qualities aren't worth any sort of attention whatsoever, we would be honestly crapping on everything that we did for George Floyd as a person. Because I personally believe that his death was wrong. It was uncalled for. It was heinous to even say. But on paper, was he the most upstanding person? Absolutely not. But at the same time, the people didn't react the same as they are with Charlie. They didn't hold George Floyd up on this platform. Hypocrisy lies. We can agree to disagree, and we can have our opinions, but the way that they're handling the situation, saying, oh, even though he was this bad person, we're choosing to look past. It's selective criticism, in my opinion.
And
There was no moment of silence for George Floyd.
Exactly.
There was no, and a prayer on top of that.
There wasn't
The
even
difference is George
they gave him no empathy for his children either. In fact, they mocked giving his children money.
The difference is George Floyd was killed by a police officer.
Oh, 100%.
We got to see it. Right?
Agreed.
He wasn't a public figure. He was murdered.
Agreed.
So don't make comparisons between George.
No. I'm making
and
comparisons
Charlie.
of morality. I'm not making comparisons of characters. It's a comparison of morality on paper.
No,
As
and I
easy-
understand
as
that.
as easy as it was for us to ignore Floyd's transactions and still honor him as a human, I can see how the other side who hold a different opinion might look past a lot of things as well. Where I don't get is the saint, like putting him the sainthood that they're throwing over here.
No, and I
He was
was
a patriot. He was this. He was that. He was a podcaster with a bad attitude. Let's be real.
Woo.
Just like George
Nailed it.
Floyd was a man who could have made better decisions, but neither one of them deserved to have their life taken by another human being at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
That's
at
correct.
the end of the day, nobody should come up
Can you
and
name a
just
single video?
Don't come in here like
Video what?
He was saying something wrong. Please.
Can you name a single video that Charlie Kirk gave where he gave attitude or was actually distasteful or rude, where it was not given to him?
He was always grimacing.
Oxford, Cambridge,
The guy was a grimace
Jubilee.
monster.
No,
yeah, if
okay.
you've watched any of his full interviews, he really can't get. Anytime somebody comes up with logic and facts that he's unaware of, he gets incredibly ugly and defensive. And,
Yes.
and that's just me as a person who was in debate throughout high school. He argues with things that hold no merit. He argues with theology, which, again, if you bring that up in a classical debate, holds no merit. He argues with grandiosity. Like, in no way did he have a decent leg to stand on. And if you were to be a hypocrite against George Floyd, you could say the same exact thing. But again, where I feel like the biggest mistake in America is how we are treating this said person who could be treated discretionary. It's like they were so quick to go, ooh, bad guy, Floyd. But where is that same judgment and criticism for Charlie Kirk?
And I want to add to that. I, as somebody that is African American, I get and I understand the perspective in which you come from. I know it's not to try to it's not a pissing contest, you know?
No, it's a Buddhist perspective.
No,
in all
absolutely.
honesty. Yeah,
And
it's just
I think my frustration more so comes from the comparison, not by you necessarily, but just everyone. I was like,
oh yeah, no,
the
I don't
comparison
between at all. Not to say
Mr.
that I
Floyd
do. I just
and
want to show
Mr. Kirk.
hypocrisy on both sides.
No,
That's
absolutely.
all. Yeah.
And I get that. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, they were also two very different types of deaths as well.
Oh, 110%.
First and foremost, Mr.
Yeah,
Floyd.
one was systemically, it's,
I was like,
systemically
Mr. Floyd
oppressed and stuff.
Yes. Mr. Floyd was murdered essentially because of the color of his skin. Now people want to say it's
Racially profiled. I agree.
People want to say these things. Whatever virtue you have as to the actual way he died, the way America saw him die was how he died. Simply because of the color of his skin.
Can I add something to that too? The gentleman said, "Can you name an instance where Charlie said something rude or was disrespectful or something like that. And of course, his whole life was built on that. If I were to say, well, whenever I see a white guy, I automatically think, are my kids going to be safe? That if that ain't president, if I'm not showing prejudice by saying some crap like that, how can you, in your mind, justify some of the stuff he said as though it wasn't wrong?
Can you say
Oh,
that?
I'm not justifying it all
No,
by
I'm
any
saying the
means.
gentleman
I'm
at the
just
bottom.
saying. Oh, the gentleman. Oh, yeah. No, please do. Like, if you've really seen at least 3 hours of footage from Charlie Kirk, how do you, as a person, not justify that he also has negative behaviors? Because we can't understand, and we honestly feel like we're listening to two different messages.
Yeah, and I think that's the point that I wanted to agree with you on. I'm not trying to make this a race debate. I'm not trying to bring race into anything necessarily, but race was brought upon itself with the person that we're talking about, you know?
Oh, 100%. Oh,
At the end of the
110%.
day, regardless of race, regardless of whatever, this is not a comparison type of matter. At the end of the day, this was a man, and I think the problem that I have most with the whole Charlie Kirk situation is just, like you said when you first came on, is just, where does this praise come from? Where does this man who was notoriously known for his debates with these people and his very strong views about things such as DEI and things about trans people and women and all of these things, where does that tie to him being essentially a godsend? Where does that come into play? This man was closer to the book of Satan rather than the Bible.
So I guess, Colin, what we're saying, like, you asked us for example of his heinous attitude. Can you give us example of his humanitarian and positive attitude?
Okay, I can. How about when he literally scolded a young man for trying to push an entire community of the LGBT away from the Conservative Party, saying that we don't live in a theocracy, and actually shot the man down and basically made him leave.
He said we don't lead with theocracy, but yet he uses that as a platform to tell women that they can't get abortions. So that's contradicting in itself. So we can go again.
That's not
Colin, I want to applaud
darling.
you. I want to applaud you on that, just because you still brought up a very valid point. Regardless, he's still, whether we liked him or not, I didn't like him, but to a degree, as Kelly brought up earlier about how good about trees and how you can have all of this good fruit, but you could still have poison in it. I think, once again, he's not a great person in my eyes. He was not a martyr in my eyes. He's not a lot of good things, and he's also whatever. But I think the point is that he still, and I brought this point up earlier, he still brought light to a lot of conversations about things that need to be addressed.
Okay.
And I'm not, whether he had an unpopular opinion about abortion, whether he had an unpopular opinion about people in workplaces and all of these things, there was still light shed upon those conversations, whether it was a respectful debate about it, whether it was just nagging at people and giving your undivided opinion about something without actually wanting to have an open-minded reciprocation about it. But
again,
I think,
Colin, I'm looking for because you gave me it's a theological example, but we need like a merit-based one. I don't know if you're familiar with debate, but theological things are too.
That wasn't necessarily theological, but it was in the middle of a debate when a guy was trying to basically ask him if they should essentially push the LGBT out of where he was claiming it, and Charlie shot him down for that, saying that Jesus ate with tax collectors and sinners. And his argument was that we shouldn't be pushing out an entire people. And in another statement, he said, why would I hate that which I have a heart for?
Oh, but then he also, in the same sentence to contradict himself, was 100% okay with the genocide in Gaza, which, so...
He's not okay with the genocide in Gaza.
At one point he was. At one point, whenever it was happening, there are statements that he made that he said...
I'm totally okay with the genocide in Gaza. I'm totally
we need more of it. His actual words were, we need more of it.
Need more of war or need more of genocide?
I'm so sorry. I don't want to interrupt, but I do know that that was something that was twisted, and he was actually receiving threats from Israel. If you guys follow Candace, they're both really close if you don't know that.
He was receiving... That's not how it happened.
Well, so
From
you
what we
heard him
know,
say
yeah.
you heard him
The
say
last-
that Gaza deserves that. You heard him say that.
Yes, and then he has.
Okay, I want you to
since
DM me that
pivoted.
clip. I want you to DM
Yeah.
it to me. Thank you.
I will.
I'll be waiting.
He since pivoted, but to say that he didn't contradict himself, which is a point that we've all been trying to make, the man contradicted himself constantly because as far as debate goes, he didn't have a solid argument. So here again, we're not saying that like he didn't turn against Israel and wasn't going to go against him. He was, but what makes him so invaluable to his, or I guess uncreditable, is the fact that he contradicts himself constantly. And then he's wrong about things constantly. And then the moment that he is wrong is the attitude that he takes and the negativity that he projects and the bigotry that happens whenever he is wrong. And that's something that we don't approve of. But yet again, I'm so tired of like defending his negativity. I would love for somebody to raise up his positivity. Please, if he's such a good guy, there should be ample amounts of humanitarian, peaceful, loving, all-inclusive things to be said, right? Agreed?
100%.
Agreed.
Did.
Agreed. So where are they? I'm waiting.
I mean, I could say a few, that's my opinion, but it's not gonna. You people like you are gonna shut it down and not. I have my beliefs. Well, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. I am from California. I go to school in Los Angeles, very liberal area. Okay.
We're talking about.
So,
I understand.
well, let me get to my point.
From Northeast Texas, the Bible.
Congratulations. Anyways, I have different beliefs than the people around me, so I'm used to getting shut down. But I also know that a lot of the beliefs that he had were biblically based. Now, that's not to say that you should take everything super literal. I understand that. We live in a different age and there's different testaments. I get it. But everyone's saying that it was hateful, that he was anti-abortions, anti-gay, anti-trans. That's literally in the Bible. Like, that's just a fact.
It's not in the Bible. In the Bible,
It's not in the Bible. So God did not create men and women and solely men and women for each other, not men for men. No, I mean, I'm saying that you guys are saying to speak positively. That is positively because he's trying to save people from going down the wrong hill.
I understand the perspective that you're coming
is in
from.
the Bible. Murdering your brother John for planting different crops next to one another is a sin and is in the Bible.
That's why I said that you don't take everything literal. That's what I started with.
Whenever you're a political figure, you cannot
Honey,
use
I took
theology
seminary.
as an
Don't do this.
argumental base.
No, I literally. Does anybody here study seminary? Did anybody study Greek?
I
or
went to
Hebrew?
seminary.
East Texas Baptist University. Hi, how are you?
Not even.
Go
I'm
ahead.
a deep
Go
Christian,
ahead.
and living in Nevada, I grew up around Mormons. So I have. There's a lot of perspective.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, she knows better than anybody how well the scripture can be twisted and put into play. So, but at Mr. Seminary, you cannot tell me that I was not quoting scripture, correct?
I'm not saying that you didn't quote scripture. I'm saying that
So
you're
you're
using
just but so is he. But I'm just trying to show you. I'm just doing the Kirk methodology that I learned from him. So it was okay when he did it, but it's not okay when I do it and you don't like what you hear, right?
it. Will quote the scripture for me one more time that you were saying.
Exodus. It is okay to sell your firstborn as a slave. I think it's Exodus 48, chapter 10. Leviticus, what is that? To kill your mother if she wears threads of more than 2 different materials. Anybody care to look that one up for me? Sorry, I just know them memorized. Like I have different Bible tricks and I can't tell you exactly which quote, whatever, but I can also find the books. I can find any book
So you
in record
you think that it is Christian to be gay and transgender? Like, just I want
I
to.
think that Jesus said to love your neighbor as they are.
Yes, but there's
I
different
think
forms
it's
of
in the
love.
Bible.
There was no but. Where was the but in the scripture? Except he didn't say use your judgment and then shed my love in you. Please.
Marriage is between a man and a woman. Love is between a man and a woman. I personally think that the not to like target anyone, but like again, I live in California. This is what I'm surrounded by. I do go to private institution though, so I haven't been indoctrinated, thank God. But and I what? No, I'm actually allergic, but thanks.
Okay, so if you know that,
wait, why can I finish what I was about to say? Can I?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Basically, what I was gonna say is that this is just my personal opinion. Again, I'm super open to hearing your guys' opinions. I believe that there is a movement that's going on to demasculize men and to stop the reproduction and the household, okay? Just so you know that I am engaged to a black man who who never had his father in his household. Okay, I believe when Charlie
Said a
said
lot without
that.
having to
Wait,
say it.
hold on. What?
Okay.
What do you mean? I'm saying that I literally see the wrong that happens when a child is subjected to not having their father in the household. And he will also agree. I believe that I believe that Christianity and being a believer helps you create a healthy household and a healthy foundation, right? So if you have a bunch of men getting together with men and women with women or whatever, they're not actually creating a household and reproducing and having a strong foundation. So I definitely agree with that.
That's up to God to judge, not man. Be judging another man. God, let God do the judging on that.
And that's
I
what
am. No, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not judging. I'm not judging.
We just stop everybody. There is an amendment in the Constitution that says to keep church out of state. So anybody arguing theology and politics is automatic.
But when something goes against your religious beliefs, it's not reality. Exactly. If it wasn't disrespectful to
Theology wasn't his core point. Theology and religion was what was behind his motivation. He didn't use the Bible to justify it. But since you want to use scripture, the exaggeration of Exodus 22:5 verses 5 and 6, I believe is what it was, talks about making restitution, compensation, not murder. Context is everything. So let's see here. Consistently talks about different things involving more of an eye for an eye, justice and mercy. If you read through all of Exodus, actually is the entire point. And also the fact that there are certain laws for certain time periods. But basically, bottom line is the Bible never commands murder for planting near someone. But congrats on misusing scripture. Really proud of you. Civil disputes over property have rules for restitution, and ethical principles in Exodus actually protect neighbors, ensure fairness.
Hey guys. As someone that's also Christian, I think a lot of problems within Christianity, especially when it came to this situation about Mr. Kirk, was more so kind of picking, like kind of nickel and diming and kind of choosing which scriptures you want to go with that best fit the scenario. So whether it was about loving thy neighbor, or whether it was about trans people or abortions and all of these things, I think you're not looking at it in its entirety. As a Christian, regardless, your job is not to judge, which although you say you don't do, you're human. You judge. I judge. We all judge. We're not supposed to, but we do. And I think the purpose is to come into this open-minded, just everybody have a respectful panel. Don't talk over each other, because now that's why we got the timer. Anyways, I love you all. God bless. I'm leaving.
No, I completely understand too. My whole thing is, in order to solidify Charlie as a political adversary, as a political figure, we cannot continue to merit base his good character off because he quoted scripture. That does not make him a strong economical expert. It does not make him an expert sociological person. It doesn't give him medical knowledge and just, the whole constitutional rights. If we're talking politics or politics, church is church. Anybody standing on a platform of the Bible has no grounds to stand in a political arena. And that's all I have to say about that. Thanks.
Guys, the reason why I went to Showtime is because two panelists was echoing a lot and people in the comments was complaining. So hopefully when we go back to open mic, when those two people open up their mics, there shouldn't be any echoing. The other reason for using the Showtime is to give everyone a chance to speak. Kelly, speak. You're running out of seconds, buddy.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
40 seconds.
Okay. When I hear that word Christian, it scares me because it's a lot of shit stuff that's been done in American history in the name of Christianity. KKK, from slavery to everything else. So when I get these people on here talking about I'm a Christian, that means nothing to me because Christianity does not have a good rap in the United States. All I hear is negativity when it comes to Christianity. And with that, I'm done.
Yeah, not just the United States, in the Caribbean, in Africa, all over the world.
All I want to say is that I am not judgmental. Me saying just straight up facts might have came off as judgmental, but I'm just, pointing out what it says. I will never go and tell my two friends who are actually homosexual, hey, you're going to hell. All I can do is continue to pray for them and let them know that Jesus loves them and that he died for our sins, and hoping that maybe one day they'll be saved. Whether they turn to God or not, that's on them. And that's on all of us. None of us are perfect, but I'm not judging. I'm not the one who determines who is going to go to hell or heaven or whatever, right? I'm just saying that a lot of the times I believe that Charlie came off harsh because he said the harsh reality of things, right? Did I agree with everything he said? No. As far as the religious, things that he said, yes, I do. That's all I wanted to say.
Hello?
Yep, speak.
Yes, sir. No, I think honestly, man, I think everyone's missing the point here. The man was not promoting the Bible. He was not. You can watch it. Anyone that says this man's giving hate speech, watch any of the videos. He never told them that you're stupid, your ideas suck. None of that. I never heard none of that. And I watch a lot of Charlie Kirk. It amazes me people think it's all right to shoot someone in the fucking throat just because they're saying. If I walked around every day slapping people in the mouth because I didn't like what they said, I would have a sore hand. You know what I mean? That is insanity to me. People that want to, throw off the Christianity, yes, I'm not Mr. Christian. I'm not Mr. Religious. I don't go to church. But there's a thing called 10 Commandments. These are normal, everyday things. Thou shalt not kill a wife. They shall not, or thy neighbor, you should not, sleep with the other man's wife. Normal things you should already know. But people have fallen off and they don't like being told that they're living wrong.
Thanks for your viewpoint, Jesse. I appreciate you.
Hey, is it my turn to go?
Yes, it is. You've got 58 seconds.
All right, cool. I was waiting to join this thing for so long. I heard people in here comparing George Floyd to Charlie Kirk. The audacity. George Floyd stuck a pew-pew to a pregnant woman's stomach. He was a career criminal. Charlie Kirk had no career criminal lifestyle of any kind. Also, George Floyd might have had a neck on his throat that made it hard to breathe, but he was on fentanyl. He was high on shrugs. The cops were called to bother George Floyd that day because he was trying to cash a fake check, also committing a crime. How dare you people compare him to Charlie Kirk, a man with no criminal record? That's absolutely ridiculous. And only black people would say such stupid shit. You wouldn't hear white people saying something like that about if it was reversed. My God, dude, you people need to fucking figure your lives out. Stop, Jesus.
Well, obviously you weren't paying attention because I wasn't comparing them. I was comparing the double hypocrisy because we can
Yeah, there
easily
is no
point out.
hypocrisy.
No,
He's a
we can
criminal.
easily
He's
we
a
can
fucking
easily point
criminal.
out
He
Kirk's
stuck a gun
negativities
to
as
a
well,
pregnant
and you're
woman's
so
stomach.
triggered by Kirk's
He
negativities
stuck a
that
gun
you
to a
can't
pregnant
take it. Y'all
woman's
are going
stomach, you stupid bitch.
crazy.
Shut the fuck up. He stuck a gun to a pregnant
And here
woman's
you
stomach.
are resorting
He's a
to insults
fucking
because you
criminal.
have no logic.
You're
Here
a
you
Okay, we
are
don't need to
fucking
insult
resorting to
moron.
anyone. We don't need
You
to.
black people are ridiculous.
No,
You
that
never
is.
take
What did I say?
Oh, dang. Okay. Well, I got 3 minutes, I guess. Well, I'd like to point out one thing that's a theological truth, just for the sake of, well, I mean, you don't have to say it's a theological truth because theology is different for a lot of people. But one thing that we can unanimously say is that in the Bible, God spoke as a husband to his bride, and so I believe that in that area, that does argue that the Bible does say that homosexuality is wrong. But that's the only thing I'm going to go with. At the end of the day, we all have said things that can be taken as racist, homophobic, or dumb, or something. We've all said something mean to somebody. We've all have smirked in debates. We've all done something.
Colin, can I just pause? Can I just pause you 1 second?
Sure.
So,
Sure.
Mr. J. Mariz, you've got a violation, yeah? Just be very careful what you say in people's lives because you've got a direct violation. You would have seen on your screen the violation. So again, just be very careful what you say. I'm also going to remove you off the panel. Colin, continue.
Yeah, sure. We've all said something. I'll keep pulling from what I do for a living. I have 100% confidentiality with people. I've heard people say the craziest, darkest things. I mean, there wouldn't be a single person in the military if we were to kick out based off of their words. There's nobody. We all say stuff. We should not be condemning a man's character for some of the dumb things that he said at times, because he could have said some things better. Like the DEI stuff where he talked about black pilots and talking about certain black women. He did not say black women in general, by the way. He can say things that are better, but he also could have inserted any other background, just pointing out the problems he had with DEI. You can't say that he was racist because his best friend was a black woman and he helped her get her start. He must be a really bad racist. You can't say he's homophobic because he literally only pushed against LGBT from his faith group, and he said that it is a group that he loves. That just because that comes from a theological stance doesn't make it an invalid point about who he is, because that's what we were talking about. If you want to sit here and say, oh, that's not a valid point in this conversation, I don't care what you think on this. That's not the point. The point is, if you want to defame him for his character or say that he had horrible rhetoric that was anti this group, no, he wasn't. Because if he did, he really sucked at it. Because if he actually had that kind of a rhetoric, he would have championed that dude who tried to push an entire group of people out from a political party. He wouldn't be championing people from any kind of background to do better for themselves. You can't say Candace Owens didn't mean shit, because Candace Owens literally was his best friend. Black woman, kind of hard to be racist when your best friend is a black woman.
There's a such thing as classism and racism, and they can both exist in the same person as well. And so, okay, in a debate, when we want to throw out a piece of evidence because it might be irrefutable, what we do is we refrain from referencing it anymore. So that's the Bible. Charlie Kirk was well knowledgeable, right? He had nothing bad to say. Can we talk about some actual factual things and some positive things for America? Again, this is something I've been asking for however long I've been on here, and yet all people can do is throw some hate and just keep repeating theology and trying to stand on that merit. But I think we've all agreed that church and state should be separate. And I think that we should start arguing or just not debating politely on some different facts. He was proven wrong multiple times on his stats. And in that case, I can't say that he is a viable, creditable person. Again, I'm waiting on peaceful, uniting, loving, humanitarian, heroic, patriotic things that we can quote by him that might change our opinion, the ones who are overshadowed with negativity. We had just as many kind things to say about, I know, Mr. Martinez or whoever it was that got so offended by the name George Floyd. We can point out his negativities too. We aren't afraid to do it, but what we sure won't do is hold that against him and who he was as a person. Just as you're going to blindly and willingly look past some of the terrible things he said. And I'm sorry, but in my opinion, saying that black people were better off before the civil rights and slavery ended because less crimes were committed, tell me how that's loving. Tell me how he misspoke that. Like, I have two things. I want something positive and humanitarian, and then tell me how saying that 1 in 5 women who are sexually assaulted, he said liars. Liars. Called women who were sexually assaulted liars. Oh, I wish I had more time for this one, because speaking of men, 99.9% of sexual assaults happen by men. 93% of all violent crimes are committed by men, but men think they have the audacity to tell women what to do with their bodies, when in reality, men need to hold themselves accountable. You guys don't go out and buy firearms to keep yourself protected from a woman. So automatically talking down on a woman and trying to have this grandiose stance over us when the stats against men are staggering. And here's one to take home with you. Women with disabilities, especially those with more than one, have a 42% chance higher of being sexually assaulted. They have to put them on birth control, which means disabled women stand a 40% chance of being sexually assaulted in their life. And we're supposed to listen to men and what men think? You guys need to control yourselves.
Who's up next? Oh, is it me?
Yep, three
Oh,
minutes.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was just, it just amazed me how some people are willing to, he made the statement, yeah, we all say racist stuff, we all say bad. I don't say that. I don't talk about people like that. You know what I'm saying? So to me, in America, it's so normal that people are willing to just look over it and say, oh, it's not that bad, because they use that type of language and they think like that. And at their kitchen table, they probably have those conversations. And, to them, it's normal and it's not that bad. But to me, that's horrible, and for you to pick out a certain demographics and target them, that's pretty sad, man. No one, you shouldn't have to do that. If you're all that smart and all that, that great, you shouldn't have to belittle someone else to make yourself seem better. And some of the stats that he used, he didn't give you the back end of the stats. He was talking about black men commit most of the violent crimes, but then on the back end of that, who has the most exonerations of all groups? It's black men. So simply because you're charged with a crime doesn't mean you're guilty of that crime. But he knew those facts, but he didn't want to give you all that because then it'll defeat his argument. So the guy wasn't a saint. I get that. He said some pretty bad stuff, and according to some people, he said some good stuff. I really didn't hear any of the good stuff. He fell back on that Christianity thing as though whatever I say it's coming from a Christian base. Well, they have a group in America called National. What do they call them? National Christian National, some kind of Christian, but believe in white supremacy, and they believe Jesus and God want them to feel as though they're superior to any other people, and God granted that to them, and they're Christians. So miss me with all that Christian BS because once you say that to me, I automatically throw up a shield because I know the bullshit is coming next. With that, I'll submit some of my time for someone else.
Yeah, I actually agree with what's her name? Cajun Asian or something. I feel like her and I have very clearly like kind of different religious political views, but I do agree with what you said. I would never in a billion years tell a woman who is claiming that she was assaulted in any way that she's a liar. So I would not, that's where I do disagree with Charlie's ways of handling that. I do believe that he was touching on the subject of men being wrongfully convicted of that because there is, please don't scrutinize me for this, but from personal experience, my fiance's one of his family members was supposed to go to the NFL and he got his chances taken away because he was wrongfully accused of assaulting a girl on his campus. And then it was later on proven, but he had lost all his opportunities. And there was a surge of that happening quite a bit. So I think that's what he was kind of talking about.
Open mic.
Yeah, but you can't. One incident. I'm a man, and I don't believe there's 80% of women that's making false claims. Yeah, you may have one or two that made false claims because of whatever reasoning, but I think vast majority of women, if they claim that they've been assaulted, I don't think they're going to lie about it. And for some man to get up and say that they're liars, yeah, I can't roll with that. I have a daughter, and I wouldn't 1 minute think that. So go ahead.
I just wanted to say something. Good evening, everybody. Um, I wanted to come from the point of being a Christian because I'm a Christian and I'm saved. Um, I think we tend to forget that all sin is sin. It doesn't matter what your sin is, because if you die in your sin, you're going to hell. It doesn't matter if you're transgender, if you stole something, if you are gossiping, all sin is sin. The Bible says the wages of sin is death. But to me, I feel like he only pointed out transgender and abortion as if those were the only two sins or they were bigger than some other sin. If we're gonna say we're for Christ and we're gonna speak truth, we have to speak all through truth, not part of truth. And that's my thing. I feel like he only picked on a certain set of people a certain group of people. I don't know if he's racist because I don't know what's in his heart. However, the things that he says, this kind of pushes me to think that he is. However, I just feel like all sin is sin. You never hear him come and say, okay, you mustn't lie. Oh, don't lie with a man. Okay, we know that. But then what about the other truths? Why are you only picking on a certain set of people? As if, okay, you're gay, so you're going to hell, but I told the lie and that's okay, or I'm mean to somebody and that's okay. It's not okay. None of it is okay. So we can't say we're Christians and we're speaking truth if we're not speaking all truths.
Yeah, preach the whole Bible. It's not good.
Exactly.
It's
It's
not
like we
right.
pick and choose, we cherry pick what we want to talk about. Because
Right.
if I'm gossiping and I die in my gossip, I'm going to hell.
Yes, but that's why I preach, like, when we're trying to give people political exonerance and, like, anoint them as like political figures, I feel like you should be more versed in actual politics and economics and socialism than you are in religion.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just feel
So
like,
again, like,
what?
going back to the Christian thing, I
Mhm,
feel like it's an easy out. But,
mhm.
but again, like, I was in debate, and theology, unfortunately, isn't something that you can argue of merit, and that's why it's inadmissible in a court of law. That's why you can't use it as an excuse because the Bible told me I could. Like, eye for an eye. I can't go eye for an eye and be like, hey, the Bible said I wouldn't. Judge is going to go, hey, yeah, okay, because that's not how we work here in America. That's not how our Constitution is written. Charlie said he loved America. Charlie said he loved our Constitution. I still have been waiting for quite some time for people, just it's as easy as we can pull the negativity. Why isn't the positive, political, humanitarian lines flow? Why aren't they flowing out at me right now? Like, where are they? Please show me.
I mean, he believed in merit. And when a little girl asked him, I think she was like a 13-year-old or something, she said that she really wanted to get into the career of politics. And she asked him, what are some steps that I should take now? And he gave her like really good advice. He uplifted her. He said, learn something new every day, educate yourself, don't let yourself be fooled. You don't even have to go to college. Don't get into debt. Like, that, I think that was positive. And he did uplift children because he knew that that's our future. So there were a lot of things that I believe were positive. Do I agree with everything he said, though? No. I just want to make that clear.
But the Bible does tell us that you can have. Somebody said it earlier because I was listening, and I think Colin just brushed it over. A tree cannot produce good fruit and bad fruit at the same time. Just like it says, a stream cannot spring forth bitter and sweet water. You're either bitter or you're sweet. He said you can't be lukewarm. You're either hot or you're cold.
Yeah. You think God gonna say? You think He gets to heaven? God gonna say, "Well, you did this good, but you also did this bad." No, He said you either warm or cold.
Exactly. You're either hot or
Or I'm gonna
cold. You
embrace you.
can't be lukewarm. So we can't say, oh, okay, well, he did some things good. No,
I
that's
think the
not what the
host
Lord
wants to say
requires of
something.
us.
So what I like to say a little bit, I don't know, you will hear me? Because I would really like to say it's insane that people are going back and forth on this. The lady, spicy Asian, whatever she's talking about, some crazy crap. I just don't understand why people are going so far in the religious thing. The man never attacked one group. His question usually was, what is a woman? I don't want to hear about someone that dresses like a woman. Okay, then what does that person even dress like the woman?
Exactly. They could never answer it. Exactly.
They can never answer. So Charlie Sheen himself never literally came at them. If you can play any clip you want from me, I'd put a paycheck on it. There's no one time where he's like, you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot. No, I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. He never swore at them, is what I guess I'm trying to say.
So what? He never swore. He said hateful shit.
Hey, man. Hey, could you be good enough for a second and let me speak? I'm just saying, you all speak for the last 45 minutes, okay? So with that being said, the man never came at them. He just asked them questions. And it wasn't really Bible pressing, but he's asking questions out of the Bible, hence in coming back to the 10 Amendments. Now, I know, sir, you're not big into Christianity. I know that. But there has to be a quality perception. People talk about the black families. I don't even want to go into all that because I'm not a racist man.
No, it's not me that's against Christianity. The
I know,
government and the Constitution does not include Christianity as a merit-based. You see what I'm saying?
I understand that. But that's what I'm saying. He was not there debating the Bible at all. He never. I don't even think
But
he ever
he
actually picked
used
up the
it.
Bible. But
He
he did use it
but
in a
everybody
way
just said
from
he
time
was
to
a
time.
Christian, and this is
But
that's
man,
what I'm trying to
this is so
separate.
that's what you're. This is the problem with these rooms. Is I'm telling you, I spent quite some time. I think even the man had his hand up because I've been trying to say something for a little while. You guys just run over people. But with that being said, man,
like you doing.
I understand you can use something as a tool. We need to get back to the basis. If you notice, the world has become crap. Our kids are on tablets. They don't listen to the parents. There's
It's
things
always
that
been
are
like this.
described in the Bible because things are going the wrong way, man.
No, it hasn't always been like this.
Look,
Well, no,
I'm a black
going the wrong way,
American.
hence going the wrong
I'm a
way.
black
You know what I'm saying?
American.
Parents
I'm a
don't.
black American, and it's always been fucked
Yes,
up.
sir.
with me.
But sir, can I ask you a question? As a child, did you or did you not sit down around the table? And I'm not trying to come at you sideways, sir. I'm just saying, did you sit at a table with your father and your mother, your family have family time, and that's how your family became strong? Nowadays, I know many women that don't have.
There's no connection. Exactly. There's no connection anymore.
There's
Even
no
a
connection.
simple meal.
You don't even get respect anymore. And you know what? You see it in society. The other day, I am a 5'3", 250-pound Hispanic man, right? Doesn't really matter. But I had a man try to come beside with at the gas station the other day. Does it really matter about his race? I'm not even going to bring it up. Doesn't matter. But I let him know real quick. But it's just because people have become so me. Nobody wants to listen. Most of these people talk about Charlie Kirk never listen to a full video. I guarantee it. Most people have not spent most time researching anything. They talk over people because why? They're here to respond, not to listen. And I'll leave it at that, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Kelly. I do appreciate, much like Kurt, I enjoy a good debate. I do. I think
No,
it's
I
good
do
for the
too.
health.
I do
It's
too.
nothing wrong with debating. There's nothing wrong with debating. I have no problem with anyone debating and spitting facts. But when you skew the facts in order to twist it, to make one demographic look bad and one look better and one look worse, then I think that you're doing a disservice. And a lot of people, like you say, they'll listen to them. They'll listen to the whole, but they won't go and do research. They won't go and look it up themselves. They'll take what he says for face value and run with it. And I think that's where the problem came with this guy, because he would take facts and screw them and then paint a picture of someone that's not true. And most of the people here probably haven't even researched 10% of the shit he said. With that,
Exactly. I agree. 110%.
I have researched.
Been following Charlie for about maybe 3-4 years now. Like I'm very much well versed on everything he has.
Well, I'm one of those weirdos. I fell off when I would say around COVID when I got fired from my job because I didn't want to take the jab. So I'm already that guy. I am a Trumper. Don't shoot me. No pun intended. With that being said, right, I work for a living, and I think anyone that is not for people smash on Trump, but I think honestly, man, this is the first time we had a businessman in there, and I swear, I think things are. I mean, I'm hoping. I don't think any of us, I don't care, black, white, Chinese, yellow, purple, should be working 40, 50, 60 hours plus a week to barely live, man. I make people. I joke with my friends. I hope I make this paycheck. You know, you know what I mean. And it sucks, but that's the way life is. Hopefully, something does something. I mean,
do you think Trump, a businessman, wants less labor out of you and more money for you? Are you serious?
Thank you. Good question.
Yes, the mortgage rates are significantly lower when Trump was in office. Like before, when Biden was in office, there's no way I could ever be a homeowner. Let's be real. And I'm a medical student.
Yeah, I'm a captain in the military, and I'm getting closer now as of 2024. Thank God.
What's the interest rate now for a house?
Casinos, they didn't do
I
their
bought
research.
my house under Biden, so I don't know that well.
The interest rate is actually higher right now, man.
The what?
The interest rate to buy a house is actually higher.
Jesse, my good
Oh yeah,
debating
but that was
friend.
given to.
Sorry.
That happened already. That was on its way.
No,
You can't
she
even
was
ask
saying
that question.
that. Yeah, she was saying that Trump somehow made the interest rate lower. I was letting her know it's actually higher.
He was in office prior, I said. When he was in office prior, his first term. And you can look that up. I'm not.
He was passed down a great economy from Obama.
You can thank him for the fact that he changed up the what do you call it, the currency in China with the whole deal to try and make everything level out on the fucking, because right there at the very beginning it was our dollar.
Guys, I'm going to give everyone 3 minutes to sum up and say their piece before I close this live.
I don't
So,
like to drop. I
in the
don't like to
spirit of
drop. Sorry, 1 second. I don't like to drop people down off the panel because people get very offended and they get in their feelings when they're kicked down. But again, there was 2 people echoing, and there's 4 people who's been on the panel for a long time, and there was a queue of people waiting to come up. So I'm going to end this live off. If everyone wants to have their 3 minutes, that's fine. Once you've spoken, I'll drop you down, and then I'll end the live. Thank you very much for speaking.
I'll actually just jump off then after I say this, and yeah. So in spirit of good faith, to give some positives on what Charlie Kirk did try to do and say, like how we talked about with that kid, Charlie championed traditional values. He wanted men in the home, parents, and for kids to have their parents. You can't say that core value isn't a good thing. When it comes to taking responsibility, he championed and challenged all men, not just men of one race, to step up. He didn't say black men. He didn't say white men. He said men. He aimed to use his business to donate, to help, to actually give education, not just political education, but general education. He aimed to strengthen faith and community ties. And yes, it did come from a biblical perspective, but everything he argued didn't just come from the Bible unless the Bible was brought up to him. So, yes, you can sit here and say that it's not a good merit thing to talk about theology, but this isn't court. We're talking about a man's character in general and what he showed. And I think that he still showed good character despite maybe, he did say some things that weren't exactly right. I would argue that the thing that you guys quoted about what he said with women and how some women are liars, I wouldn't have gone as far to say that. But I will say that as a man, I am nervous around women because of accusations that I've seen ruin some of the lives of my best friends. So that's a thing too. And so when Charlie said that, though I wouldn't have gone as far, I did appreciate that he brought that up. Because that is something that does worry me. I mean, I have to have my location with my family. I have to have texts and messages just to protect myself because of stuff that I've seen happen to my friends. And I'm not trying to twist it back and say oh, we're all victims as guys. I'm just pointing out that is where he was coming from, whether it was outlandish or not. And I think that that's how you can look through everything he said. He could have said some things better, but he always came from a good place. That's the core.
I have been to many churches, and there are ways to twist things to make it sound that way. To doubt women and their sexual assault, and then it's a really hard thing to come back from. But one thing I did want to bring up, we had a gentleman who was expressing bodily autonomy. He was proud of the fact that he didn't have to get a shot, and I know that for sure he was a Trump supporter. And I just would like to ask, you appreciate having the freedom of choice to not have to get a vaccine because you feel like it may cause you harm. And medical doctors may have, insisted. And I'm just saying, this is a political thing. This is a very, real topic. It's not theology. It's stuff that's going on now. And it's things that separate us as a community at whole. But, those who also wish to have bodily autonomy, many who happen to be in the Republican Party, you realize that bodily autonomy for vaccines is exactly the same thing as abortion, because if you choose not to get it, your medical professions do suggest that you may have the risk of dying. And that is a well-known fact. People did die from COVID. We cannot deny that. So the risk was there, but you had the freedom to choose what you wanted to do with your body. And I would just like for you to know that that is a very contradictory belief to have if you want to say that women cannot have control over their bodies. And it's those contradictory beliefs right there, tying them back to however you want to, making them okay for you, tailoring them to your needs, whether it's your demographic, your sexuality, your classism, or whatever you want to label it. It's these kind of backward politics that are not all inclusive that I had the issue with. I would love for y'all to look up James Tallarico. He's going to run for Texas Senate. He said, tell me what Jesus would say about somebody who had to post a GoFundMe for a life-saving surgery. If you want to use Christian as a base, that is an all-inclusive blanketing statement that does not marginalize anybody. So why can't we lift up those type of figures versus having to really filter out and toss out some pretty bad looking commentary that is factual. You know, we've said it over and over again, and we're really having to argue his character to the core. I'm just really tired of wasting time on people whose character has to be judged so has to be filtered so heavily, and we really could be lifting up this whole generation of other people. He's one of the first politicians that I've ever heard give faith in the youth. Joe Rogan laughed in his face when he said millennials and Gen Zs would change this planet. And you know, everybody calls us lazy and everybody calls us everything else. Nobody wants to be on our side, but yet y'all are leaving us with this huge mess. And I'm just tired of people praising people who aren't leading in that direction. And I just want to bring light to the platform that there are people out there that are leading in that direction. And his name is James Tallarico. Please go listen to his stuff. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, with the comment about what the young man was saying as far as he not trusting women, and look at the statistics, man. Especially, I mean, let's just be real. White males do have a problem with this sexual thing, and it needs to be addressed. And I hang around women. You know, back when I was single, I'd rather be around a group of women than men because it just seemed like it was less drama. And I never had any issues my whole life about being accused of anything. Because, I think, to put all the blame on a woman saying, well, I don't trust women. No, men need to look themselves in the face and learn how to hold ourselves accountable for some of the behavior that we have. We have a president that actually got on TV and said it's okay to grab him by the pussy. So that type of mentality, and people didn't think that nothing was wrong with that. That tells you something's wrong with the country. That should have been a no go from the beginning. When you blew that out of your mouth, that should have been like, hey, no way we putting this guy in office. But America seems to excuse that and go, feel like, he still would have made a great president. But at the same time, I don't think women are lying. I have a daughter, and I know my daughter ain't gonna make up nothing to anyone. If she came and told me that, I would definitely believe her. And like I said, I don't think women are making up stories like this. I think men have a damn problem, and we need to address it and face it and move on. With that, I'll give up some of my time.
Yeah, so what I want to end with, I just want to say, at the end of the day, we just need to love each other. I think that's what's gonna heal us. I know it's hard, but at the end of the day, if you have love in your heart, then some things will just roll off you. I heard the host said something earlier when I was listening. He said, Charlie's not, he doesn't agree with, so he just doesn't listen to him. And I just think that's what people need to do. If something doesn't line up with how you see things, or just turn it off. No, I don't agree with what happened to him. However, I don't agree with some of the things he stood for. But I just think we ought to love each other. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to heal us. Love each other. And everybody just needs to look in the mirror instead of pointing the fingers. What can you change about you that will make this world a better place? And that's my 2 cents.
The floor's yours, Peter. Last words, please.
Sorry, I was trying to log on here. Are you asking me?
Yes, you are the last person to speak.
Okay, so I've had a lot of dialogue in the last couple of days about with friends and friends of friends, and everybody wants to be happy and good and unite and all of that, but I really feel that we're beyond that point at this point. The rhetoric and the is just too discordant, and I unfortunately I feel that we're heading toward violence, Um, and I'm not sure, how many people agree with me or not, but I'm just so not optimistic
Are you talking
about
about
where we're headed.
violence that's politically motivated?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel so as well.
I mean, I regret that he was killed. I regret that happened. But on the other side, I am getting absolutely attacked left and right because I feel that he's not a good person. And there's a whole part of the country that thinks that he should be lionized and canonized and heroized. I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I keep saying to people, since this happened, I've been saying pretty much every day that, again, in my day, I'm 56, right? If you heard something on the radio, you saw something on the TV that you didn't like or you disagreed with, what did we do? We changed the channel. We turned it off. We silenced the moment. I didn't go out and plot and plan to remove someone off the face of the earth because they said something bad about me. People are saying bad things about people all the time. Who was Charlie Kirk? Was Charlie Kirk that much of a power figure? Was he that much in control? Was he that powerful enough to galvanize troops of people, to sort of cause havoc? No, I don't believe he was. He was just another human being that if we didn't like him, we should have just turned him off. Turned him off and just basically kept it.
Well, I disagree with you a little bit. A good friend of mine said that she said, I can't believe that we're so divided over just words. And I came to the conclusion after thinking about it a couple of days, I said, well, words can influence, words can be damaging, words can be hate speech. And if you have the power and the influence, you can influence people to do cruelty and violence with your words.
Only if you want it to.
Well, so you can always say, well, I didn't say that, and I'm not responsible for that guy taking a gun and shooting somebody, but those words influence people, susceptible people, right? And I think that Charlie Kirk was a big influencer. I mean, everybody knows he was an influencer. And he said some very hateful and bigoted things.
Yeah, 100%.
And if his followers or his fans say, I'm going to take that to another level, then that's what happens.
Well, that in itself swung in both directions, right? His very last time on this planet was as a consequence of everything you've just literally said.
Yeah. And the other side?
And it's just unfortunate because I could then say, well, I didn't like what he did. I'll take him off the face of the earth. He could say he doesn't like me because I don't like him and take me off the face of the earth.
Okay.
And that's where we are with this whole political violence, and it just needs to stop. If I'm walking down the street and I see you with a loud hailer and you're talking about this, that, and the next, and half the stuff you're saying is not positive, I'm going to keep it moving. I'm not going to wish ill will on you unless the ish that you are talking is going to rally people up and is going to galvanize people into a call to action. But was Charlie that person? I don't think so.
I think he was.
Right.
I mean, look at the support that he has gained after his death. It is astounding. I was surprised at the number of my friends who responded to my Facebook posts about his bigotry and racism who didn't see it, they didn't accept it, they thought I was lying, and they called me evil.
And that's why I keep saying Charlie Kirk is now 100x. He's no longer 5x, where he should have stayed. He should have stayed in the 5x lane, but he's now 100x. And the fortunate thing about that, he's only going to stay 100x as far as being in the history books. He can no longer spew hate or positivity. Right? Within the last,
and that's what I said in my post, that I didn't wish him badly. I didn't wish that he died, but I'm happy that he's not influencing young white men anymore.
And I hope that the next people that hope to step into his shoes or wear similar shoes need to recognize that the people aren't joking with their feelings. You went to a space where the most influentially minded people, young college students, are going to act sometimes on the things you say. Younger people and much older people probably wouldn't. But you went to a space and you tried to engage with a bunch of people that you tried to galvanize into what you do. But at the same time, you must have known that a small percentage of those people are going to disagree with you, with what you say, in a very critically serious way, to the point that they've literally taken you out. How could you not have known that one day at your rally, something really bad was going to happen? You probably thought, oh, you were going to get maybe a punch in the face, someone's going to throw an egg, someone's going to throw a tin of paint. No, Charlie. You should have had a responsibility to your family, knowing that potentially you were going to be taken off the face of the earth. And look what's happened.
I think obviously he didn't feel that he had reached that point.
He must have done. At what point does it switch on in someone's head? What, the 3 seconds before it's going to happen, or the 3 seconds after? He didn't know it was coming, but he knew it was coming. He must have known it was coming. Come on, seriously.
Right.
You should have stayed online, stayed with your digital platform, and you could have spewed whatever you wanted to spew, and people could choose to switch you off. But for some reason, the ego-ness and this whole thing of what these guys do, and don't get me wrong, he was a highly educated guy. You know, he was very good at debating. He knew his numbers. He was
a smart guy, but he bailed out of community college, which is the lowest level of college that exists here. And he was a smart guy. That's what I can say.
And what they're saying now is the alleged guy was a lot more intelligent than Charlie ever could have been. And look at
who knows? I'm a college professor, and I've seen lots of students and so forth. And I know what some students are able to do and what are not. So
they're saying Tyler was a straight A student. He was top of his class. Blah blah blah. But hey, it is.
I hadn't heard that.
It is. You've got. You know, I think we're getting a little bit stuck in the fanfare of him being the shooter, where in actual fact he is the alleged shooter until it goes through the the whole process. But what's coming?
If he achieved great grades, then it means that he's a good thinker, and a good thinker is going to see reality unless there's other psychological problems that are happening, right?
Yeah, I mean, someone mentioned in the chat, or not the chat, someone mentioned in the live earlier that mental health has a very high, has a lot to play out in this story, and yeah, it does. But if you're traveling around the country and you're trying to galvanize people into into what it is that you believe and the stuff that that you like, you are going to raise a high percentage of people that don't like you. And if you then stand there and spew and please people, I really don't understand it when people say he didn't say anything bad about anyone. I'm just like, what bits have you listened to, and what bits that you weren't listening to because you were in denial? So I've said to people, on top of that, because he is now 100x, and you can't not scroll through social media without seeing all of his old videos and all of what he said, please now watch everything he has said in its entirety and make up your mind about Charlie Kirk. Don't just like freeze Charlie Kirk for his micro quotes for him being negative or positive. We can now sit back because he's now frozen in. He has now been frozen into the history books. Yeah, we can no longer see anything more than what he can say. Right. So basically, watch everything about him. If you don't like him, please still go and watch all his videos, and then come back. And when you go onto public platforms and speak about him, you can then say, yes, I have the full context. What he was saying about the pilots was the black pilots was this, and this, right? Because what we've done is we've listened to the little sound bites of what he said, and we've gone and said, oh, he didn't say that. You didn't listen to the context. So I think now that he's been frozen in time and he's now in the history books, please go and listen to everything that he has to say.
Right.
With that, thank you everyone for coming into the live this evening. It's been interesting. I've really only set up these lives because I want to learn a little bit about American politics and the whole violent rage around American politics. And the majority of the people that have come into the live have been primarily American, and it's been great listening to you guys. We've had some some people come in that haven't been so nice, and we've had a lot of great people that have been absolutely splendid to listen to. So thanks again, and I appreciate everyone coming in, and I'll
ما كانش الزيت بزاف